Well, good, good. Okay, good day, everyone. How's everyone doing? To be back again after another. Well, I don't want to say action packed or action filled Grand Prix, um, but yeah, it was a Grand Prix, Sergio Perez winning the Grand Prix, which I believe most of us would have expected him to do um, with the kind of car he has. And then the most shocking of all, well, if you thought it was shocking well, it's not shocking for me because when they said that Red Bull is hiding peace, oh Lord, Max up in P2, and then yeah, a Mercedes podium. Daniela, I see.
You people, prayer works,
No,
so prayer
Daniela,
works.
please.
Prayer is
I'm
working.
coming, please. I'm coming, please. So I want. Well, I see that your prayers are working, but yeah, it's been a very, well, I say it was a very not so eventful Grand Prix, but as well, I say the Aston Martins yesterday we were speaking about reliability, and then of I think it was Enobong that brought about the topic of how long. Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, how long are these Aston Martins going to continue? And then, lo and behold, um, less than 24 hours, we saw one have a reliability issue, which is quite sad, because I'm sure a lot of people would have expected it to be the driver they took the podium from. But yeah, I guess that's how um, life wants it this time. Yeah. Um, what do you call it again? What do you call it? McLaren. Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, gave us a last, well, I say a last minute action, which well, I would say that was my own highlight of the whole Grand Prix because now I have to look out for Lando as an individual. You understand, to know what he's capable of. But yeah, I would say let me just pass it on to you guys, and then we'll go on from there. Thank you, Andrew, please.
Yeah, that was boring, to say the least. That was very uneventful. Anybody in the world could have predicted Max was going to be on the podium from P 3000, wherever the heck he started from. It doesn't really matter. He's going to find his way on the podium with that rocket ship car. Um, yeah, it was just good for Checo for being the king of the street. Still, that's very good. That's always nice to see that Max won't be just walking in to a victory every day. At least when it comes to a street circuit, he won't just be walking into a victory, and that's very refreshing to see that they have their specialists for street circuits. Yeah, for Mercedes, George is continuing on his lucky beginning of the year streak, finding his way into the podium some magic way, because Aston Martin, you know, they made their mistake for serving the penalty, and everyone everywhere in all of the comment sections and in every single tweet saying it's mafia this, all of that. And this the same mafia who didn't show up in 2021 when it mattered. but they showed up to give this guy to give this bum, no, I'm sorry, not a bum, to give this guy a podium when it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, like, this car is bad for them. It's better than Ferrari, which is good, but like P5 and P6, P4, P3, that won't win you a championship at the end of the day. And with Aston Martin being, the all around, best of the rest car, that, they're going to be a nice P3 in the championship at the end of the year. And who cares about one podium from, you know, from this entire thing? And I just don't get why people are saying, "Oh, it's we should blame Mercedes for Aston Martin making the mistake." But the people on the internet will find a way to make Mercedes, into the villain, especially when they're, the third fastest car. And yeah, I don't get it. McLaren, it just fell apart for them, unfortunately. I wanted Oscar to do well today. He did better than his teammates, so I'm just glad to see that. My second team at the end of the day, Williams, they didn't they did okay for Logan, and he's still he's on the cusp of points, in my opinion. He's going to be a very solid driver. So far in his career, he's doing a very, very great job, with the drag missile he has to drive every day. Yeah, that's it for them. I'm just hoping for the best, and hopefully he can pull a Alex and get some points, on the next weekend. Yeah, Alpha Romeo. Yeah, they're just kind of there still. Their race winner Valtteri is just, they didn't win a race for he didn't win a race for them, but it's unfortunate to see, him going from, the best car on the grid to now what's, I'm basically going to say it, the worst car on the grid, in that Alpha. It's just unfortunate to see how far he's fallen. And yeah, other than that, this race was boring. Yeah, I don't have much else to say other than, we expected what we got. And yeah, these Alonso fans, in the comment sections and every single tweet or post about this George podium, it'll be funny to see, what they say. I'll be laughing, and I'll be just letting them know, yeah, whatever mafia you say exists, they stopped showing up for the past 2 years. And there's a second faster than the next quickest car, who's winning the races now. And whatever you saw in the past does not reflect on the future. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Daniela, please.
Good evening, everyone. For me, surprisingly, this race was interesting. Not because of the action on the track, but it was interesting. I'll give you my rundown. You see, yesterday, if you had told us that, oh, there'll be a Mercedes that have a podium, people will be saying manage your expectations. But it goes to show that in this race, Formula One, luck is involved. There are chances. You have to capitalize on the mistakes of your enemies and your competitors. So that's what Mercedes did. The only thing I wish they had done was also with Lewis. They should have realized that what happened, based on what happened to Ocon for not serving the penalty last race, it wouldn't have just been a 5 second penalty, it would have been a 10 second penalty. Then Lewis could have at least gotten fourth as well. That's also another thing within the Mercedes. I don't know if we'll talk about this as a team, but also with what happened with George and Lewis and the team orders when when Lewis was on slightly fresher tires, and they asked them to invert the cars, and George, we'll get there. We'll get there. But let me start from the top. Checo! You know what? As I always say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's my relationship with Checo. I know that he's really suffering inside that team. Because how can you be winning a race and you think your team is plotting against you? They're lying to you, giving you misinformation. How? How can you be winning a race by 5 seconds and still you are in the car shaking? When he came at the end of the Grand Prix and he said wicked, he didn't mean the race, so he meant his team. The people inside the team, they are wicked. It's wickedness. What can you tell me? And Max wanted to, what did Max want them to do? Change the car? Change the order? Oh, it does not matter to you, but it matters to me. Hey! And George
Daniela,
Verstappen was
Daniela,
just
hold on. Daniela, hold on. Let me ask one question. Is that your problem now?
no,
As
mom.
a Mercedes
I'm
fan,
starting
is
from the
that your
top.
problem
I'm
now?
starting
Is
from.
that
I
what you
spoke
should
about
be
Mercedes
focusing
now.
on?
I'm starting from the top. Admin, please. I'm starting
Hey,
from the top. I'm just
okay,
pointing out.
no
Let me
problem.
point out, oh,
Carry
please.
on.
I think we'll focus on our own. I've said it. I already said, please. So that's by the wayside. Well done to Chaco. At least, as Andrew said, there's not always a Max who cruise to victory. I'm looking to see how the interesting dynamic will be because the way just Verstappen's face was looking, in the way people have been typing things about Checo, family members of Max Verstappen have been typing things on the internet, left, right, center. This drive to survive that will go and meet all this juicy drama. So for this reason, this is why the race was interesting for me, for the politics involved. Also because of the team orders with Mercedes and all those things that happened. Fine. Then Ferrari, it was so interesting. Obviously, Mercedes, I think Mercedes did well today because based on what we talked about yesterday, we were like, oh, it's Red Bull, then Aston Martin, then the Ferraris, then Mercedes. So we should be, P7, P8, and obviously we've overperformed. So a good showing. I think the strategy, obviously the safety car, Lewis staying out longer than everyone else. When he wasn't getting pitted, I was a bit worried. I was like, why wouldn't they pit Lewis? But in waiting for the safety car to happen, because obviously that would happen at Jeddah. It was only one, but again, maybe a bit of luck, maybe a bit of strategy, but he was able to capitalize on that, and it helped him in the race. Who else? Then the Ferraris, yes, 6 and 7. Not where I don't think that's where they want to be. Yeah, they clearly something has gone awry there. It's interesting. Oh, Alonso lost his podium. Oh, I wish I could genuinely say that I'm sad for Alonso. I truly wish that I was that capable, but I'm not, because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Karma is real in this life. Karma is real. Karma is very real. So, God, anyway, Alonso have not been on the podium. That's sad. If you like cry from now to tomorrow, he will still not get that podium. If you like shout mafia, tell us that the FIA headquarters is in Brackley. Whatever you want to say. My dear, they have not given the podium. It's George have got it. It's okay. Me, I feel some way about George's podium.
Daniela,
I think it's Lewis's podium.
Are you aware that Judge said that Alonso deserves the podium? That he
That's
does not
George
even
said we'll get to
should have
George.
given him.
We will get to George. The way I'm coming for George this evening, because some of the things he's saying, I'm wondering. He's giving me suspicious. I'm looking at him with my one eye. I'm like, you will not just collect your podium and be happy and think about the team and going for it, because now Mercedes is third in the constructors currently with this, tied with points with Aston Martin. Like, who would have thought that? Ferrari is behind. We are ahead of Ferrari in terms of points. So we have to take it where we go, think about the team, especially in the early season. That's what they always say. Oh, let's think about the team and all those kinds of things. So that's an interesting thing. But George's antics today was interesting for me. And I'm sure that Lewis will respond at an appropriate time. Oh, look, the good thing for Lewis is that the start of the first two races, he's finished fifth, so he's been in the top five for the last two races. I hope that that's where he can stay. Because who knows, with Red Bull, their car, they said towards the end of the race, someone said drive shaft, someone said issues. So reliability can, again, look at what happened to Alonso. At the end of the race, after a race, anything can happen and you can gain points and benefits. At the end of the day, it's the checkered flag and the point that you get and you're awarded that will lead to you being able to come the championship, especially if Mercedes are able to turn it around halfway through the season. Then it means that all these points, even early on the season, it still matters. All the points still matter, because crazy things are truly happening. And before I know, I think we'll talk about the other teams later. But McLaren, oh Lando, when McLaren came on the radio towards the end of the race, lap 49, and they're telling you, please let your teammate pass, who is the rookie. I don't know what's happening. What's happening? Lando, like you would think that they would just leave them there, but also Piastri went ahead and did the thing because he passed Lando and then ended up gaining two other places and did well. So, hey, hmm, it's the interesting thing about this race for me, the only interesting thing was the team dynamics between drivers as it relates to first driver, second driver relationships. Yuki Tsunoda qualified Nick De Vries. He lost his points in the end to Kevin Magnussen. Has scored a point, that's good for them. Nick De Vries, again, qualified by Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda was holding on and he lost it to K Mag. But we'll see. I'm definitely sure that Sonoda wants to score points. So I'm crossing my fingers for Sonoda. That's me for now. I yield the mic to the next person, and I'm sure we'll talk more. But an interesting. I wouldn't obviously Boring because there was no much action, but interesting in terms of the dynamics of the teams as we move forward into the race. That's my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Daniela. Pray harder for
It's
more
working. Oh, I will
aerodynamics.
not be discouraged. It's working. It's clearly working. That's my only thing I can contribute. Me, I'm not an engineer.
Yeah,
I
you're
didn't
not
pass
praying for
math.
aerodynamics, you're praying for luck. That's because that's what it's
I'm
doing you
praying for
people now.
all. Oh, all prayer points are being
It's
considered.
luck
All
that is
bases
doing
are
you
being
guys.
covered.
Anabam, please go ahead, I beg. Thank you.
Hello,
No
everyone.
problem.
I mean, I think pretty interesting race today too. Compared to Bahrain, I think I probably enjoyed this race more. I don't know why. I think I enjoyed this a little bit more than Bahrain. Um, Speaking about the teams, I'm happy for Checo that he won. I mean, it's pretty sad that he was constantly on the edge, hoping that his team doesn't sabotage him. But I'm happy that he won. Um, Max, I don't think Max had any expectation for the cars to be inverted because he was way behind Perez. I think when he asked the question, he was asking what the fastest lap was so that he could try to beat it and be ahead of Perez in the championship, which really, if you think about it, it's not a bad thing. I mean, everyone is here to win a championship, so kudos to him. I mean, I think at the end he was pretty displeased that he didn't win the race. But that's between him and himself. I don't think that he expected the team to invert the cars for him. Aston Martin, Alonso, I don't have anything to say. But for the Aston Martin as a whole, I mean, it's interesting that we had that conversation yesterday, and then today they have reliability issues. So I'm curious to see if they can keep up with this, throughout the end of the season. I mean, so I'll leave Mercedes for last. So, McLaren, it's funny that we had this conversation yesterday too, because Piastri was 1.1 seconds faster than Norris in the same car, and he had damage earlier and had to go and change. So that was very interesting to see too. And then to see them squabble a little bit on the track. So I mean, I think things are pretty much agenda is aligning in in McLaren. So let's see what Norris can do throughout the season, or what happens there throughout the season. I think Alpine pretty much had a decent race to Ocon and Gasly. I mean, I would like to be in Piastri's head right now to think about how he's feeling, bearing that the Alpine is a faster car than the McLaren this season. So that, I mean, I wish I could get his take on that. Yeah. So Alfa Romeo, Bottas, we talked about this yesterday. People say we should cut him some slack. We'll see. But Joe was way ahead of him. I mean, I know he complained that he thought he had some damage in his car, but his team kept saying no. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how that how things play out between both of them to the end of the season. Now, Mercedes. I know people are going to come in at George. But before then, I just want to state a few facts before we, start the entire judge debacle. I mean, we had a pretty much decent race today. I didn't expect us to be where we are. I think we did okay, given the circumstances of what our car is and where we are right now. Um, there were no team orders in Mercedes, except everyone wasn't watching the race that I watched. I know George is a very diplomatic person, and that's one of the things I've always liked about him from Williams, where he's able to tell the team. I mean, when he won his first race, he was the first person. I mean, I think that was Spa 2021. He was the first person to say, not one, sorry, when his first podium, he was the first person to say, listen, we need to change the soft, and try to go for uh, uh, um, um pole position. So George is always pretty decisive, and with what he wants and telling his team up front. So I don't know what happened, but I know I heard George telling his team that this is not the time to fight. Alonso had a 5-second penalty, and his team coming back to tell him no, Alonso has served that penalty. So I don't know, but there were no direct team orders for George for those cars to be inverted. I know that there were conversations around um, Toto possibly saying that when it comes down to it, don't fight. However, these were alleged conversations that were said by Jolene and David Cottard. There was no direct team orders for George to invert the car. Even so, I think that the same principles apply when we talk about other teams. If Lewis was the faster car, he could have passed George on track. I mean, we've seen it in different years where they've asked Bottas to invert the cars, and Bottas was slow to do that, and Lewis passed him. We can argue that maybe he wouldn't have had the tires, to fight Alonso, but I do not think that Lewis would have ended up in front of Alonso in this race, and that's my take, on that. So the fact is there are no team orders. So before we come for George, is that I know that George is not a team player from last season. I mean, I've seen the dynamics, but I don't think that this race is that race to have the conversation of, team orders in Mercedes, because it wasn't there. So overall, I think it was a good race. It was a good race. I think, Mercedes, we've done the best that we could. And I mean, let's see what happens throughout the season. That's all from me for now.
Thank you, co-hosts. Okay, can we have Dr. Tech? Then we'll have Whitley, Henry, then Yemi, then Andrew, please, in that order. Thank you.
All right, good evening, guys. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, boss.
All right. Happy Sunday to everyone. I hope we've all had a good day. Yeah, concerning the race, I felt it was a pretty good race. I know a lot of people have been saying that they didn't really enjoy it, but I think I did. It was a pretty good race, in my opinion. Well, maybe if you're a Red Bull fan, sha, I don't know. But yeah, obviously, Max was down in P15 yesterday, but obviously the car is just too fast, and I think we all could predict that it was going to find its way to the podium, and yeah, not really shocking to see that it did. I felt Alonso had a pretty good race. Unlucky in the end that he got penalized, but it is what it is, right? So that's a good one for Russell and for the Mercedes fans, right? So yeah, that was good. Concerning Mercedes in general, I felt like this was a pretty good race for them. I don't think a lot of us were expecting them to end up where they ended up today. So I felt, all things considered, it was a pretty good race for them. Obviously, Lewis stayed out um, much later in the first stint, and obviously he got onto the mediums under the safety car. And, that helped him to push much higher up the field. And yeah, that was really nice. Ferrari just didn't have as much pace as we expected this weekend, I guess. Yeah, Ferrari being Ferrari, I guess. Yeah, so um, on Oscar Piastri, I mean, I know we spoke about this yesterday, but he just keeps impressing me more and more, right? Obviously, he got a pretty good start in the begin in the on the first lap, but I think he hit the wall or something, and obviously had to go into to get that fixed, and yeah, that kind of dampened his race a little bit. But I feel, all things considered, he still did pretty well. Yeah, it will be interesting to see how that dynamic in McLaren plays out, right? Because I know over the past couple of years, Norris has done pretty well. It's been interesting to see how he um, shows his experience, now that he's being challenged by a rookie, and a rookie that is very, very good. So yeah, that'll be a very, very interesting battle for us all to see, right? On the Alfa Romeos, just don't have that much pace, to be honest. So I'm not really sure what to expect from them, or if we can expect anything at all. So yeah, that's that about that, I guess. What else? What else? All right. All things considered, I felt it was a pretty good race. But yeah, looking forward to the next one. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tech. Can we have Henry, please? Sorry, Henry, just before you go ahead. I know there are some people requesting, and then I'm having also difficulties bringing you guys up. So I don't know what's really happening, but maybe it's an Elon update, but I don't know. But yeah. Oh well. Henry, please go ahead. Henry. Okay. Yemi, do you want to go ahead, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please. Okay. Man, I know I joined it, but I thought it was an interesting race. Great recovery from or decent recovery from Lewis given the circumstances. George did well to just be in the race all through, man. Showed great pace. Was as consistent as he always is, and was able to be in position to get the podium. So good points. I just want to know. I mean, as an aside, I want to know when we're going to start questioning the Ferrari concept and their side boards because what we've seen from them this season is not acceptable. It was the performance last season. Everybody be shouting concept, but I know that the whole side pod thing concept thing for Ferrari for Mercedes is more than just it was always more than the side pods. People just don't like many people just hated Lewis. So their team was not doing well, so they wanted to they question everything his team does. They never really had merit. But that's an aside. I think I'm just gonna call it right. George was faster this weekend. It was no, I won't say this weekend. It was faster from quali onwards because Lewis was on the pace in practice. I think something will happen between P3 and quali, and I think based on the interview he's just done, it was clear. He said he was 50-50. George went one direction, he went another direction, and that made the difference, right? So that was still good recovery. P5, P3, decent recovery pending, when we get a decent car that we can use to actually fight for win. And I believe that car will come. The news, I mean, I don't know what Toto has been cooking, but he's been saying things like they're already making serious gains in the wind tunnel from just the change of direction they've done. And there was a question I was asked recently, and they asked like, so would you say your concept is a Red Bull, Aston Martin concept? And he said that no, actually he wouldn't say it's any of them, but like it's a concept. So we'll see the concept when it comes, right? I think a lot of it will largely have to do with the underfloor. They're already always going to change the side pods. Anyways, that was already in the work. So I don't think these updates we see from the side pods by the time in Baku or whatever, I know that's not change the change of the concept. The change of the concept is still going to be further down there. But anyways, um, the goal for Mercedes right now is to just make sure that they keep scoring those good points, be reliable, and be within reach, so that if there's an off chance of a potential title charge this season, they are available to push for it. Because clearly the Red Bull is not reliable, as it's not as reliable as the Mercedes. In any case, Ferrari to have their own reliability issues that they are dealing with. So be an interest. I think this season is a long one. It will ultimately be one on reliability. So although I mean I suspect Red Bull pace is far too great to offset any potential, yeah, to be hampered by reliability. But yeah, I think I'll just go to other teams. Ferrari, poor from them. Aston, great job from them as always. I think like I said yesterday, they have a great car. So just expect Fernando to be giving standard P3. He'll perform to the maximum. He'll be getting P3 every race, until other teams catch up or his team improves. Um, Alpine decent job today. They finished maximum points. McLaren finished him, man. And then Piastri, I said it was here. I said it yesterday. That look, you guys, man, it's early to call it. I'm not gonna say Norris is finished. I know if this was Hamilton, some people would have said, "Oh, he's finished." I mean, people are already saying it, anyways. But the point is, okay, sorry. The point is that Piastri is here, and he's a strong driver. He's strong enough for them to be, asking Norris to shift for him to pass. Do you get? So that's a lot for Norris to think about. The guy has gone and signed a very long contract with McLaren, right? And now his new rookie teammate is decking him. That's going to be reducing his value. Do you get? So something to think about for him. But overall, I thought it was a more interesting race than Bahrain. I don't know why, but I think it was just a little bit more interesting race. But I don't know when the next race is. Is it next week or in 2 weeks? In any case, on to the next one we move. Thanks.
Thank you very much, yeah. And the next race is in 2 weeks, Australian Grand Prix. Um, yeah, me just to add to what you said. In for Norris, yeah. You see, in this life, yeah, they say what goes around comes around. You know, and then sometimes it can come around very, very quickly. You understand? I remember when no, was it Baku? 20 is it 2021 Baku when Norris made Ricardo waste his tires. I can't even remember what he did something very mischievous. So I'm trying to remember the scenario. He did something very mischievous, yeah, and then he thought he could get away with it. But now life is coming. I personally I love the way it's coming back to get him. Do you understand? Because this is just race two. Oh God, a champion, F2 champion, F3 champion. Oh God. Okay, let's carry on. Please let's have Andrew, please.
Yeah, another part that I didn't get to hit on was Ferrari powered cars and Ferrari themselves. I personally believe that Nico Hulkenberg is on fraud alert, fraud watch, um, because he shouldn't have never replaced Mick, in my opinion. It's now two races now that you've been shown up by your teammate. And, in this race, he didn't really show up against anybody. I think he lost positions from where he started. As soon as Max passed him, that was the end of his race. He wasn't heard from again. Um, yeah, this time last year, when everyone was talking about, oh, the Ferrari power unit is so special, it's so this and so that, and here we are, 365 days later, give or take a couple of days, and now they're in the mud. Ferrari, the team, the power unit, everything that involves, the print is done. It's cooked. Um, I don't think we've really talked about that enough. Ferrari failed to show up. I mean, they had this for the most part last year. They were up until the summer break last year. They were on and off the fastest car, and now they've come into this year as now the fourth fastest car. I think so. Red Bull, Aston, Mercedes, and then Ferrari. What necessarily happened to the point where they lost so much everything? Like their their one lap pace wasn't good enough. Their race pace isn't good. They still have terrible tire degradation. I'm kind of lost in what happened to them in just a couple of months, and like how they went from being championship contender Charles Leclerc, all that, oh yeah, he's gonna be challenging Max X, Y, and Z, to now they're back to where they were in 2021. You know, just getting what they can get. I just don't necessarily understand what's going on with anything Ferrari related. Because I was saying yesterday as well, like I hope all the Ferrari powered cars in the midfield hold up Max, and they didn't do anything. I mean, they're just not quick enough. They're not fast enough on the straights. They just weren't good enough. That they got beat. Um, yeah, that's all I got to say about them. They just haven't shown up this year.
Can we blame Binotto for that? No, it's a honest question because if Binotto are still here, everyone will still be calling on Binotto. So it's a honest question. Can we blame Binotto for that, or we should just allow the man enjoy his gardening leave?
Maybe the effect of his leadership, maybe his is really embedded in the team there, because it's still not, maybe it's still affecting them. Maybe the people in the team, they miss him. They want to. Some of them want to go and join him in gardening, so they are just thinking about that. But I don't know. Obviously, Fred Vasseur, he's come out and said he's not satisfied. So at least he's not doing what Binotto did and burying his head in the sand and pretending like there's not a problem, everything's fine. So at least Fred is, saying that he's not satisfied. They're going to look into it. So maybe they can turn the corner around. That's my own. But Binotto, I don't know. Can we blame him? Maybe a little. Because again, it takes a Fred is only here. It's only been 2 races. We can't really blame Fred. Can we blame Fred? We know when he took over. We don't know when he started making decisions. Obviously, this car that they have now, Binotto would have made decisions on it last year. You know. So yeah, maybe some of the strategists or the people who were it's not even strategy. Why are we always so? And maybe the people who were involved in building the car that were hampering them last year and some of the reliability issues were still involved this year. So maybe that's why there's been a carryover of that. But I don't think we can blame Fred just yet. Halfway through the season, if this is still happening, then we can start to shift and say, Fred, what's happening? Why have you not changed people? What are you doing to fix the problem? But we can blame Benotto small, even while he's gardening.
Well, Fred is just like that Heineken drinking uncle that we all have. They're very funny, charismatic. They make you think about everything other than the problem, and that's what Fred's been doing. He's just been talking. He's like, yeah, what do you think about Red Bull? Well, we have two good drivers. We're not worried about them. Oh, what do you think about the reliability issues? Oh, we got that fixed. That's not a problem. He's just gonna say everything's not a problem until come summer break and they're like I said, P4, P5 in the constructors championship, and then there'll be the house will be on fire just like it was last year after the summer break. Like they're in the same situation where they haven't gone anywhere. They've literally been stagnant since before Spa of last year. Like they haven't gone anywhere. They've been moving backwards. If anything, like everyone else has been moving forward. Whether that be a big gap like Aston Martin took, or step by step like everyone else has been doing. But like at this point, Ferraris they're just in my opinion they're still not serious. I mean, if you heard the radio with Charles and with the safety car, they're still the same unserious team where me myself would be just as qualified as everyone else out there, and I have very little experience.
So, so,
You,
sorry, let me say something. Okay, let me before I
no, go
say.
ahead, go ahead. I'll wait.
So, I was going to say something. No, I know you are on to. I'm looking at something before I say what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't think Xavier is multilingual because I'm not sure he used to understand English. Why is he still in that? Why is he still communicating as a race engineer? He should be in Maranello where I, I'm not. I'm sure you get where I'm coming from. It should just be Maranello where it's just one unified language. Everybody's just doing their technical stuff and good. You understand? Like why every time mix up, mix up, mix up, mix up. This should be part of the changes. So I don't know, but yeah. Uh, okay. Moving on. Can we have Faye, please? Faye, thank you for waiting.
Yes, all right. Hey everyone. So today's race was kind of okay for me. I'm a Red Bull fan, so it was just perfect for me. Having Max come from P15 to P2, and I think one thing I noticed in today's race was Aston Martin made like a very huge leap, and Mercedes fans can say, "Oh, yeah, something is coming like halfway season," but I feel it might be too late if Aston Martin continues on this track they're on, because we might say, "Oh, only Alonso," but Stroll was in it up until the engine failure, and you can say, "Oh, that's reliability," but you have to also realize the fact that Aston Martin is a Mercedes powered uh, car too. So if you had reliability for Aston Martin, it will probably affect Mercedes in the future. And we can't just be praying for like reliability issues to affect someone like Max or Checo. Yes, they are Red Bull. They are not a foolish company who just like stop working now that they've seen the reliability issue. They'll continue working to try and fix it. So and Ferrari, I really just don't know about Ferrari. They are on and off in qualies and race pace, and you can't even put a finger on where exactly the problem is. It can be management one time, it can be the drivers just being lackluster. It's very somehow to watch Ferrari right now. McLaren is like what most of you have said. It's coming back to bite Lando in the ass of what's happening now. And Piastri, even today, it looked like he was just like, let me just see what Lando does. And he was giving him some kind of headway at some time. And then when he just like, yeah, this guy's not doing anything, just went ahead and passed him. So McLaren is not having a very good season, obviously. And it looks like it's just going to get worse. For Alpine, I think they are okay. I think they're on the path of where they want to be. And I really hope to see Lewis like fight more for this thing because today it seemed like he was having a hard time on the hard, but then when the safety car came, which I think should not have been an actual safety car, I think it just have been a virtual safety car. But when the safety car came and then he was able to undercut this guy, uh this Leclerc, it looked like he was fighting. But I really want to see him like fight more because I think he's still a very fantastic driver if he can get a really good car. And yeah, Max with his thing. Max is just doing his own thing right now. And I know people are going to say, "Oh, Max is the evil, blah blah blah, of racing or anything." I really don't care. This is someone who wants to win championships and he's trying to put together. Sometimes you have to separate the artist from his work. So, and I'm really happy for Checo too, winning on the street circuit. It is like Paris, with Red Bull. Like, it's just a great time to be a Red Bull fan. So, yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Congratulations, Shui. I hope you can continue to Abu Dhabi and beyond. Yeah. Okay. Hey, who is this? Okay. I'm sorry. Honorable Odunwaya.
Don't worry, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Good evening, guys.
Okay.
Um, First of all, congratulations to Red Bull and to Checo Perez. Obviously, we all. I don't think there's anyone that will be surprised that Max ended up on the podium, given how fast Red Bull is this weekend. I just want to talk about with Red Bull what happened during the race when there was the why are they asking Checo to drive at 33. That wasn't what they told him. What they told him was he should drive for 32.6 with a margin of zero point 0.4. He can go 33 or he can go 32.2. That was what they told him. And it was like, oh, what is Max then driving? And they said, oh, Max last lap was 32.6. And I was like, so why are you telling me to do 33? I think what happened was Checo like misunderstanding what they asked him to do. So with that, it wasn't like, oh, Red Bull was saying drive slower so Max can catch up with you. And also when Max asked about the fastest lap, that's obviously what anyone would do. Like, okay, what's the fastest lap? Like, let me see if I can beat it because it's an extra point for me. And if he didn't, then Checo would have been on top right now. So it doesn't really matter for them in Red Bull. So and for Ferrari, I want to maybe play the devil's advocate here because what I think is happening is we are all like forgetting the significant jump that Aston Martin made when we are talking about like Ferrari. Because for them, the problem is that Mercedes made gains on them. And if Aston Martin did not make the gain that they made, it should have been Ferrari against Mercedes and Mercedes like being better than last year and competing with Ferrari. But it's just that now there's another team in the picture and it's like Ferrari is now like the fourth out of these four teams that are now in the picture. So I think that's what's going on with them. And even apart from that, sometimes I think it's the team that is run funny. Like there are some things that shouldn't be happening that then they happen and you're like, why would you guys do this? So I think that's wrong with Ferrari. And for McLaren, once again, I want to play devil's advocate because I'm a very, very big Lando Norris fan. I cannot explain what is happening right now, but I'm still convinced that over the season, Lando would outclass Piastri. So yeah, that'll be all for now.
Okay. At the end of the day, the data will tell. Thank you very much. All right. Can we have Johnny Steams.
I'm just here to listen, man. I'm here to listen today, but today's race, for
Uh,
me, in my opinion, was a good race. I think it was interesting. From probably like P1 to like P10. But I just came in to talk about the point of someone calling Hulkenberg a fraud over Schumacher. Schumacher had 2 good years, man. None of the rookies are even crashing the way Schumacher crashed, and they're calling Hulkenberg what's it? Hulkenberg a fraud. So I can't settle for that, yeah. As much as I might not necessarily think he's one of the best, calling him a fraud against Schumacher, that's a very bold claim. Very, very bold claim.
I still stand on that.
yeah, everyone with their.
You say you still stand on it.
Yeah, I'm still standing on it until I get proven otherwise. Because like I said, at the end of the day, Hulkenberg, that's his 800 or 182nd Grand Prix we just watched, and Mick, that was what, 50 or something, maybe less, 40 something. I'm not doing the math, but like
Well, you mean without a podium, like races without a podium? What are you talking about, sorry?
I'm talking about. Well, it's 102 or 182 races without a podium now today. Compared to the however many 40 races mixed done overall. I mean, yeah.
No, I grant you that, but come on, the way Schumacher was crashing, I don't even think anyone has any basis to argue for the guy. Like, I'm
I think
sorry, I
I think
don't
the
know
most
that.
important thing is that Schumacher is not crashing the car. That's the truth. That's all.
Haas can save themselves some money this season. Thank you.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, nobody's above crashing now, Abby.
Everyone crashes. Be real.
Uh-huh.
True now, but boss, look at
Schumacher
it.
would have found a way to crash
Schumacher's
five
own is
times on two
different
Jeddah
too.
circuits today.
No, Schumacher, his BP would have been high.
If I have like 2 safety car crashes today, well, thank God it was just one.
In the
It's
one way.
true. We have lost all our safety car bringers. Latifi is gone. Schumacher is gone. Who will give us safety cars? Eh?
Nick, in due time.
Okay. Anyway, no, Lando. Okay, no, okay, no, Lando is. I don't know. Well, if he starts to succumb under pressure, now that teammate is outperforming him. But yeah, can we have Regis then Yemi, please? Then we'll have him at the after. So Regis,
Good evening, everyone.
good evening, boss.
Um, yeah, exciting race if we compare to what we saw 2 weeks ago. Admin, if you remember, there's something you put, and I said, look, Max Verstappen doesn't really need quali. He will still turn up and win a race and win races. I'll say good race from Red Bull, Checo, steady and on top of things today. I like the way he controlled. Like when Alonso went past him in the first corner, he wasn't. I don't think he was too. He wasn't too rash about things. He just took his time, and after that, he was steady. And I love the way he handled it well. The safety car today worked in his favor. Inside me, I'm praying like this should be happening more often, where Max's teammates can put him slightly on the back. Imagine I was just watching what they did the press conference first, second, and third, and Max he's throwing tantrums for coming second when you started 15th on the grid. Like imagine if there was somebody who would be out qualifying this guy maybe one week, one person he beats you, the next week you're not too sure. But the fact that this guy turns up thinking that every race is his own, what level of what level of arrogance? I understand he needs arrogance to win races, but brother, him and his father, let me leave his father, but I just wish Checo can be coming up, like turning up maybe once every now, once and then, struggle with him. Let's see Max under pressure and see how he delivers. I hear questions he was asking today. There are questions of what somebody a champion should be doing. Yeah. But let him be asking questions about how far back is this guy from me, and let's see how he reacts. I know he's a good driver, but let's push him a bit. Nice one from Red Bull. I feel like on the straight they are faster. Corners they are faster. Just hand them the title already. Aston Martin, nobody's talking about Lance Stroll. That's because of the brilliance of Alonso. I believe maybe sometime as the season progresses, maybe Stroll will come in his own. But obviously, just two races. He's got one DNF. The other race, he drove with one wrist and still came sixth. Fairs. But obviously, the team is being carried by Fernando, and it makes me to even realize if a 41-year-old, I mean 42-year-old Alonso is driving like this. Imagine the 25-year-old Alonso that was beaten by a rookie. This now begs us to as in to understand why Lewis Hamilton, permit me to say, is the greatest of all time. So Aston Martin, I feel like they are no longer. In fact, I don't know if we can no longer call them middle. What do they call them? Midfield team. Because Alonso, man, that guy, he's ready to get fourth, fifth, third every week, if not maybe every other week. Mercedes, I'll skip that. Let's not talk about it because the things that are there to say, there are plenty. And there are people like, I don't want people who feel like maybe nah, we Mercedes is my team. I love them, but there are certain gatekeepers and stuff. I don't want to, but there's a lot to talk about. But all I'll say is I know upgrades are coming, and maybe some people are waiting for when these upgrades come for them to show their true pace or show what they're made of. But I'm saying I hope it's not too late at that time for the team to be favoring one person over the other. And then I don't know. I'm just saying. So we'll skip Mercedes. Charles
Mm.
Leclerc. These guys put on a soft tire for Charles. And I understand at least they are doing something. It's better than not doing anything at all. They are doing something, going for it, but I don't even understand. Ferrari, we'll talk about them. Alpine, if chilled out was a person, man. Like those guys are comfortable in their no stress me. We know our position. Leave it for me, and they are happy. And I feel like Ocon and Gasly, they had a good race today. They did everything right and scored good points for their team. Haas, K Mag, K Mag is telling us, look, this team, na me get them. Leave all these things. Hulkenberg is coming here to form Jagaban. Let him qualify me when race reach. I think he qualified 12th or 13th, and he gained 3 places. And Oga Hulkenberg has gone down 2 places or so. He has scored the first points for her. So this is what I feel like he's number one in the team. He has brought them their first points. So going forward, that is all the confidence he needs. That's the only action I saw today, and that little overtake of Piastri on Lando. These are the guys that came to the race. Let's just talk about these ones who come race, we score points. Haas, K-Mag scored the last points. Nice one. That him and Sunoda, their fight was, I think it was that was the only thing that was, it was exciting. The others, I feel so bad for my guy Albon, because Albon, aside any other person, I think aside obviously Lewis Hamilton, which is all our guy, I don't know, for most of us, Albon is my favorite driver. I just wish Williams can sort themselves out. When you score points on your first race, second race, you're DNFing for some reason. I don't know. So I feel sad for Albon. And then somebody said that Lando is already being decked. Brother, it is only 2 races in, 2 races. Something might have happened to Lando's car. I still maintain that Lando Norris is heads and shoulders above Oscar Piastri, and we shall see it as the season unfolds. For the rest of the people, who else came to this race? McLaren no come the race. Um, Joe Guan Yu and Valtteri Bottas. I don't know if they used tires from 2 weeks ago do the race, because I'm not even understanding how Bottas will put on a new soft tire, and Max Verstappen on old hards of how many laps is still doing fastest lap of the race. Is that not madness? Who else? Who are the other people? Man, we'll talk about Mercedes. This Mercedes own is plenty, because I don't know how our guy will go on medium tire, come close to my man George, and well, let's leave it. I yield the mic.
Mercedes people and always will talk about is Mercedes is always plenty. It's always plenty. Everything data gathering. Your things are always plenty. Always gathering data. Okay.
And
For Regis, yeah, you said something about Max. Let me just play devil's advocate for 1 second. So now, yeah, Max has come out to say that he does not want to be second. That he did not expect to be second. Or that's not what he doesn't want to be.
mm-hmm.
Or rather, Kinikon, yeah, his second is not where he wants to be. Now, Shebi is a professional athlete. It's still we that will come and say, why is he aiming for is second the benchmark? Should he not be aiming for higher? If it's another driver, we'll be saying the same thing.
No, no, no,
So
no.
well done
Okay,
now.
sorry. Finish.
Now because
Finish.
it's Max, obviously, if it's Lewis now that said, second is not this thing now. As the way Lewis is complaining now, nobody is saying that. Oh, bro, you have
Exactly.
won seven. Oh,
Exactly.
relax. You understand? Nobody is saying, oh,
Just
bro, you have
finish.
won seven.
Finish. I go
Relax.
tell. I will tell you why I think so.
Now
Just
Max
finish.
is complaining that okay, um, he wants to be always in P1, which is why he's in the sport. He's in the sport to win. No, it's not in the sport to carry P2.
Thank you. He's not. Thank you. Have you
Eh?
finished? Have you finished?
Well, I'm almost done.
Okay,
But
continue.
yeah, so yeah, that's it. I'm done. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Now, admin, I get you. I understand you very well. That is why he's a champion. He's a mind of a champion. But see what it is. It is the body language and the way it is said. He has said it because I was watching it. He said it in a way of, who is this person that is coming second? Who am I? Who is this person that I am coming second to? Checo Perez, the one that I am better. You know, that kind of impression of this team that I own, like this team should have done something for me to come first. Brother, you came from 15th and you're second on the grid. That wasn't even his first point. His first point was, I want to come first, before he now said, obviously, I've come from 15th, which makes the race exciting. He's now trying to say that the person who come first is not worthy of the way he expressed it. Maybe I've read it wrong, not because I don't have nothing against Max Verstappen. See, if there's a driver on the grid, you say pick one driver, I'll pick Max every day. He's on my team, 247 on my whatever team. But why will you come from 15th? You've come second on a street circuit. Nah, now it is the way, the body language and the way he said it and the time he said it. It doesn't make sense. Gel at all from my perspective. Oh. Now, I know
Regis,
opinion.
me, I don't understand. How do you know Jim?
Okay, see, your teammate came first.
Okay, wait, hold on, Regis. Did something similar not occur with your favorite driver in Brazil 2021? And he still came and dominated the
Please,
whole field.
same. Lewis came
So,
from five.
eh?
Back disqualification. It's not the same.
It's not the same.
What
It's
do you
not the
Lewis
mean?
came
same.
from, and he actually won. Why are we
Everybody
comparing
start.
things?
What
He
I
didn't,
mean is
Max
that they're
didn't win
all starting
today.
from behind, no?
They're
It's
starting
not,
from
it's
behind.
starting from P15 and starting from
Behind is
-25
behind.
is not
What?
the same.
If
No.
Lewis had
This
finished
race, we
second,
all
What?
said it's not exciting. That race, you
Excuse me,
remember it was
excuse
exciting.
me, excuse me. Me, I can practice law. Let's not go there. What I'm
Barrister
trying to say is,
Ibama.
both drivers came from behind, no?
The way this coming from behind is sounding, I don't like the sound of it though. Sorry. But what I'm trying to say is, if Lewis had come second in that race to Max Verstappen, he has and he says he has not come here to come second. We will understand it. It is his rival team, rival human being, rival everything. Brother came second to his team. Somebody on his team, Checo Perez, who has not put in a foot wrong, and you're saying, I no come here to take second. Brother, go and sit down. And I pray every race now, I'll be praying, Checo, please, I'm not even going to pray for something to happen to his car. I'll be praying for Checo to even I'll qualify him, maybe 3-1, 4-1, once, every time. And let's see how these things, how it will pan out for him.
I mean, if I may jump in on this.
Okay, jump in, boss.
Yeah. So basically, I just want to say that this whole cycle of when Max does stuff that we expect Max to do, we just get angry. Like, this is Max that we are talking about. We know who he is basically,
Well,
and we
he's
know,
a spoiled brat.
Yes, we know it's basically a sport brat, is what it
I
is.
calm. I agree. No wahala.
Rest
Let's
in
move.
peace, rest
No
in
wahala.
peace.
Yeah, so basically, why are we really shocked? That Max said that we are not. This is Max we are talking about. So I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's his rival teammate or I mean someone on another team or his own teammate. He just wants to win. As long as it's not forced, he's not happy.
Nah, it
No
doesn't
this
make
and
sense to me.
no this and no peace, basically.
Sorry, I just wanted to just on that matter briefly. I just wanted to say that. So I mean I hate to go all psychology, but what I used to give Max grace is, um I my personal opinion, I don't think that Max has a lot of emotional intelligence, but that's a different conversation.
Two
What I
hundred
used
and 10%.
what I used to give him
Already
grace
No,
is,
sharp.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I
no,
agree
wait.
with that.
What I used to give him grace is just take a look at Max's father, right beside him. So I mean, why I say I hate to go all psychology is that not even sometimes, all the time, the way someone was brought up, is a reflection of how they are going through. Like yesterday, once Max had that issue with his car, just took out his headphones, dropped it, and walked out. I'm like, my guy, I don't understand. Like, your son is a two-time world champion, and you cannot even, just because his car has an issue, your how many championships have you won? So my point is, even if you saw him today, like his countenance, his demeanor, everything. So I give Max grace because I think about the psychology of probably how he grew up. And I read his story, how his father left him in the gas station when he was young because he did not win a race. So that's why I used to give him grace. But I personally think that he doesn't have a lot of emotional intelligence. And
Somebody said
I
his
I,
father
I
won't give him
agree.
food
It's
this
Max.
night.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree. It's Max doing the things that Max doing. I don't think that at this point you really should be surprised. I give him grace and I just walk off. Okay.
Yeah, and I also think because in the past like couple of years we've had a champion in Lewis Hamilton who basically carries himself with grace even when he doesn't win. I think that we've kind of come to expect every other person to be like that, and the reality is that I mean Formula One, fine. I mean it's a plus if you have a good personality, but it's not like required. So yeah, we just need
I
to
thought,
accept that, I guess.
yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, that's perfectly true. Like Max is Max. Everyone knows the way he behaves, and then he does. I don't even see anything wrong with what he said today. He just said I'm second, and I expected to be in first, which to me is perfectly okay. Because if you look at it, under this virtual safety car, he had every chance to be first today. And the thing is, you all can say, "Oh, Max is doing this. His ego is doing this." The thing is, when it comes to proving it on the track, this guy is going to still be the best in every single race and everything, given that DNF or reliability issues don't come up. And he's just going to keep proving like all the ego thing we can say today, all the his attitude is this, his attitude is that. It's not required for him to be a good driver. And the reality of things is that he's already a good driver and he'll just continue getting better. So we can keep focusing ourselves on, oh, this is what Max said, this is what Max is doing, this is what he's doing with his body. But the fact is, when it comes to being in the car, he's still going to be the best on that track.
I think it's the ability for wanting something that you did not work hard enough for. Clearly you didn't work hard enough for first. So the demeanor that you expect first, even when you did not work hard enough for first, is where the problem is.
And Obong,
But
and
I
Obong, I'll
think
buy you one bottle of Henneken, please.
oh, thank you.
Please, we do
I like
not promote
whiskey.
alcohol here. We do not promote
Yeah,
alcohol.
I think someone said it correctly. So yeah, that's kind of what it is. That's just, it's not what you say, it's how you say the things that you say. So
Easy.
it's as simple as that. Expecting what you
Thank
did not
you.
work hard enough for.
Admin, I'm so sorry. May I just jump in quickly on
So,
this point?
okay. After and then please we'll have Imade, please. I'm sorry. Just before everyone speaks. Guys, sorry. I know there are a lot of people trying to request to speak, but there are a lot of difficulties bringing people up, mainly because I don't know if it's a network issue, but that is a network issue. I feel it's more of a Twitter or an app issue. So please update your app. Maybe you know how Elon Musk behaves. He just moves anyhow. Let's not even have this one as we are speaking. But yeah, so please, if you are trying to come up, just draw these precautionary steps. I even said restart your phone. Maybe it's my change it might call change network, you understand, or even come with another account, you understand. But yeah, everyone is welcome. Thank you very much, and yeah, let's move on. Uh okay, Daniela, then Imade, please.
Thank
Thank
you. Sorry, just before we went to this, and something happened where admin said, "Oh, if it was Lewis, he came from the back of the grid, he won." Please, I beg you, we cannot compare what happened in Brazil, Sao Paulo, 2021, to what happened with this race. One, because Lewis won an accident. Two, because Lewis was disqualified from qualifying. Went to the sprint race, got another penalty. The actual back from the last law from the bottom and completed the task. Okay, it's not like, oh, he could have won or Max have won today. Max didn't win today. Today Checo won. But we cannot this you the two. That race, it was exciting. People were like, what is going on? See the overtakes. So everyone said, oh, the race was interesting. Some people even said the race was boring. Those two races cannot be compared. They just can't. Lewis is the GOAT. That race was iconic. Please, we say we are people are
Dan-
coming from the back.
Daniela,
That was
Dan-
the correct one that Lewis did.
Daniela,
Thank you.
Daniela, you don't understand me. Oh. No. Yeah, I'm not saying this, I'm not comparing the races. I'm saying both drivers started from behind.
But it's not the
Yeah.
same thing. Admin, it's not the same. It's not
What
the
do you mean it's not
same.
the
It's
same?
not this. I've just explained.
What
Admin,
do you
please,
mean it's not the same?
please. All we have as Mercedes fans now is the
Okay,
memories of our
did both
success.
drivers not
We
make
have
up
memories. That's
places?
what we are living on. We are surviving
Did they
on
not make
memories.
overtakes?
But they were not the same
Were
kind.
overtakes made, yes or no,
It was
sister?
not the same kind of overtakes. That's why they have award for
And
best overtake now.
no,
Admin.
oh God.
Admin, you
Admin.
you will never come to a consensus on this matter with Daniela. Just leave it, leave it
Oh,
alone.
okay. Let's hear from engineer Madi. Engineer, please go ahead and maybe engineer can maybe side me. Engineer, please go ahead.
Are you trying to lobby the engineer?
Can you
Lobby
hear
him,
me?
neighbor. I get money. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, boss.
All right, yeah. Good evening, everyone. This whole Max thing, I honestly don't understand, and I've said this multiple times. And I feel as human beings, we always want to create perfect humans in our head for in sportsmen, and we forget sportsmen are actually still humans, regardless of who they are. And before anyone is going to call me a Red Bull fan or a Max fan, I'm a Vettel fan. For those that don't know, and and Max is how old? Max is 25. If you can scroll, you can search my his name against my handle and see how many times I've bashed him in the past. But the truth about it is, when Vettel was this age, when Lewis was this age, when Schumacher was this age, they've done things that even they would not be proud of when they're older. Point I'm trying to make is Max is still young. I don't condone or agree lots of things he does, but at the same time, he's just 25. For heaven's sake, give this guy a break. He knows the kind of car he has. He knows the kind of car the team has, and if not because of hate that lots of people have towards him, Checo is really not a match for him in talent. We have seen this over the years. We've seen it last year. We've seen it multiple times. So if he as a person believes, oh yeah, I can due to my talent, due to the car I have, I can come first, then what stops him from saying it actually? Genuinely, what stops him from saying it? And if we want to revisit all these things, that all these kind of perfect humans we love creating, didn't Lewis leak his teammates telemetry data when he was much younger and say the team is favoring Jensen over him? If we want to go over itinerary of things that Lewis has done or Vettel has done, at least those are the two most loved champions in recent times. Didn't Vettel disobey team orders on track and supposedly apologized? And then the next time when he was going to face the media, what did he say? He said, I was racing, I was faster, I passed them, I won, and they should not disturb him about it. Vettel was how old then? Was not even 25 then. So the point is, we should stop trying to create perfect humans from racing drivers. at the moment they are not crossing the disrespect, the racist, all those kind of thresholds. If it's just things you're not a fan of, forget about it. They are racing, the adrenaline is pumping, or they set high goals for themselves. Live with it. And back to the race. Well, everyone has basically said most things I wanted to say about the race, and I just hope the whole supposed bulletproof power unit that everyone has been screaming about Mercedes, we can see has a chink in his armor with Lance Stroll. Ferrari, I hope they get their acts together, and we look towards Australia. Thank you.
Hmm. Anyway, Elon said something yesterday that about Lewis, that Lewis is not Christ Jesus. So I guess we can also take um that same ideology for Marx. So that Marx is not Christ Jesus in that way. But yeah, on that Mercedes power unit, I'm not gonna lie you, Lance Stroll. Why 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 Lance Stroll? I don't know why Lance Stroll of all individuals. Why did that? Because personally, I would have preferred if it was Alonso, But there's this thing about Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll looks like that kind of guy that I don't know if anyone has that friend that if you give them your car to drive, your car at least when you collect your car back, you must have problem. He looks like that kind of guy that when he enters your car. So as the power unit or as something just blow up in the car, I said, Lance Stroll. I said, okay, no, we'll know. We'll hear in 2 weeks what happened. But yeah, that's just my take. I think it's just very unfortunate. But I don't think they've said what really is the issue. But yeah. Okay, let's have Diode and Lukman, please. Then we'll have Olori then Wura. Thank you guys.
Hi, I just wanted to
Basically,
say
just
that
shared
Enobong said
couple of
exactly
points I
what was
wanted
on
to
my
share.
mind.
Oh,
Yeah, she
oh,
said
oh,
exactly what was on my mind, and I
oh Diode,
appreciated
please let us
her.
go first. Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, carry on, please.
Spoke exactly what was on my mind, especially when it comes to the story of Max. It wasn't surprising for him to have that kind of opinion when, with the kind of father I grew up with, which was very obvious to everybody yesterday, if it wasn't obvious before. And yeah, today's race was boring, and I don't know if it's just me, but since the season opened, the races have been boring. I hope that it's not just because of the teams that we want to win are not winning the races, and that's why the season is seeming boring to everybody else. That's what I'm gonna say. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Diode, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. So I mean, some points I wanted to say, Madi has already shared them. I think one thing a few things we need to realize in sport is that these competitors, they are fierce competitors, and they are very, very different set of human beings. Same way everybody here on this space is a different human being. And if we're all playing a sport, I'm sure majority, if not all of us, had played sports for fun at different points in our lives, and you know how competitive things can be. These guys are even worse competitors because it's been drilled into their brains. I mean, if you look at them from karting up onto the feeder series and the likes, you see that they compete fiercely for every inch of the track. I mean, you just need to watch feeder series F2, F3, F4. Those people are nuts. So for people to come and say Max is arrogant and this, I mean, the car was good enough for the win. Why not go for the win? And he went for it. Sergio Perez got the win today. So for him to now, one thing people need to realize again is that you are judged against your teammates.
That is it. So it's actually, even in some cases, it's better if somebody from another team wins the race and you come second. You could say, oh, they had the faster car, whatever, whatever. Once it's your teammates, what's your excuse? You both have the same car. What excuse do you want to make? Set up or this or that? You both have the same materials, same access to development and everything. So I see no Max wanted the win. He has the mentality of, yeah, I should be first, I should go up, and there's nothing wrong. Is actually that's what has taken him to where he is today. If not for if he didn't have that strong mentality, then I don't know. Then secondly, people want to, I don't know, fans of some other teams, they want to model um drivers in a particular way. You want all drivers to talk a particular way or behave a particular way. And as Amadi said, a certain Lewis Hamilton years ago, when he was basically Max's age, was making a fuss on Twitter because he found out Jesse Button is not following him on Twitter. He was actually leaking his teammates' team's telemetry on Twitter. I mean, so if we want to go there and say when people are young, they do things, crazy things, I mean, it's there. So the unnecessary bashing I was hearing, someone like Reggie's going in. I mean, come on. All what he did is he didn't just smile and say, shout that, hey, my teammates won. He didn't look so delighted and cool. Yes, he got beat by his teammates. So actually see nothing wrong with that. Champions mentality. We go again in the next race. Thank you.
Hmm. I do. Thank you very much. I would have to agree with you. Because I think, as you said, these are professional athletes. These are people that want to go for the very best. I've never heard where someone said second is good enough. But at least that's people who come second. They always say second is never good enough. So, I think that's the mentality Verstappen has. So, and is allowed to. You know. So yeah. Okay, let's have Lookman then.
Nobody ever remembers who came second. That's just one thing. Nobody
Exactly.
ever remember who came second.
Please, who came second in Brazil 2021?
Admin.
Nobody remembers.
I'm just asking because I can't even remember. I can't even remember. Oh, okay,
Admin, you
but yeah.
started.
Look, man, let's go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, admin.
To me.
Good evening,
Oh,
everyone.
sorry. Was it Lukman or Wura?
Lukman, you
It
said
was
My hand
Lukman
has
Lukman.
now.
been up. Oh. My hand has been up for a long time.
Yes,
Okay,
admin, I wanted to say Yemi. I want to hear Yemi's. Yeah.
No,
please.
you
Okay,
said
please hold on. Okay,
Lukman.
please hold on.
Hang on.
Please,
Yeah, but after.
please hold on 1 second. Please hold on, everyone. Let's allow the lady go first because we the men here we are always here. So please let's allow the lady go first.
I'm
Thank you
dead.
very
It'll be
much.
very quick. But what I just wanted to say is that it's understandable Max wants to be first and everything. I just feel like the expression of it, the way he handles his temper is just not needed. And to be I mean, Checo was holding that spot literally. He didn't climb for I mean, he literally was in first place for half of the whole thing. So for him to now come and be like, oh, I should be first, I should be first. Christian last year said he's okay with them competing, but all of a sudden Checo now has to give up his spot after Max has been climbing and trying to, for me it's just unnecessary. But I also understand it's the second race of the year and it's Saudi Arabia. Of course, Max wants to be first, but it just didn't make sense to me. That's all I'll say. Regardless of age or whatever. But yeah.
Thank you
I
very
think we
much.
need to. I think we need to make a clear distinction that Max did not ask to be given,
Sorry?
a spot. No, I'm just like making a clear distinction, like to out putting it out there that Max never asked to be given, um, for to be given the first slot or for Checo
Yeah,
to move away
yeah.
from him. Yeah, he never
Yeah,
asked
but
for that.
clearly he just wanted to be there. And Checo, I feel like Checo was waiting for that thing where Christian would be like, yeah, give up the spot, and that's why he asked to like push. But That's what I'm just saying. I'm sure Max was just expecting that, oh, go ahead, Checo, let Max pass through. But it has to be different this year. It's not always going to be like that. But, that's what I think, Sha.
Thank you very much, Wura. Okay, let's have hey. Okay, so okay, I know. Okay, Yemi, and Lukman, please. Thank you very much, and yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but like I've just been hearing a lot of justifications or that, when drivers were young and everything. That's just some silly ass justifications as far as I'm concerned. Because if you ask me, right? I mean, I wasn't thankfully I wasn't the one that brought up the whole why is Max behaving the way he's behaving, right? Because I mean it's to be expected. The guy does it wasn't brought up well. And it shows in his behavior on and off the track. you know, and I mean, I don't want to be, and like I said, I said last season and this season, like, I don't know why some people even support that kind of person, but again, to each their own. I'm not here to dictate morality, lines of morality, right? You can do whatever the hell you want. But for me, when you now start bringing the past, say, well, when Lewis was a young guy, he posted telemetry that we can all access now freely. Do you get? It was only because a black guy did it back then. And they were like, why are you doing it? It was never been done. Lewis has always been social media positive. Like he's the first one of the first athletes to be on. I say athletes, one of the first F1 drivers to be on social media. Instagram from far back as 2012, 2013. The guy has been posting on Instagram. You can go and check it, right? And I've been following him ever since then, right? So the guy just posted his telemetry, man. Thinking at the time, like there were no protocols to say, hey, do not post anything on social media, right? And he thought it was okay to post. And the team rightfully cautioned him, like, hey, don't do that. And he took it over, and that's that, right? But for you to compare that to the condescending remark and the entitlement for Max saying, "Oh yeah, like I want to finish. I would love to finish first." Or I mean, it's okay to love to finish first, but like the remark that he was expecting and maybe Perez to just get off the road from it. That's just like, yeah, if you want to finish, overtake and win now. Since you are that fast, overtake and win. You get, but again, I didn't even register because I've come to expect the lowest is come. It might be a good driver, but as far as on track, off track attitude is the lowest of the lowest. Like I don't regret him at all, and it has nothing to do with, it's just some people they act graciously, you respect them. Leclerc is a very decent driver on and off the track, right? He acts with respect, he's a fierce competitor, he's a quick driver, and he doesn't, all of that. He doesn't even look at what happened with Science last year in the team, right? He still tried to be like, guys, what happened here? Same thing with Lewis, man. He's not entitled, he doesn't expect anything, despite giving so much to the team. The team still messes up, and yeah, you know what? He might be disgruntled from times. That's Lewis. He wears his heart on his sleeve. Everybody knows that, but when it comes to it, he's like, from yesterday compared to today. As I said, you know what? This is what happened. This guy is faster. I'm going to work hard to make sure it doesn't happen again. End of story. Not all this I expect to be first, and so when people start bringing things like, oh, what one driver did in the past, that's some bullshit, man. Your driver is shit. He's a shit. It's not about, nobody expects Max to be Superman or to be a good guy. Nobody expects that. Vettel wasn't the best guy, but you know what? He wasn't anywhere near this calm that this boy is. That's simple fact, right? And nobody called out Vettel for all of this. I mean, doing the Weber thing, we all thought that he was a bit of a dickhead. But at the end of the day, he went on to still be a decent champion. He dominated his domination. He moved on with his life, right? He wasn't overly, the guy, you can tell that the guy has manners, and by the time you see when he was not winning any champions, what other things he did, right? It was like, okay, this guy's actually a decent guy beyond all of this. Like, okay, he's winning, competitive edge comes, everybody has competitive edge, you know. But your driver, man, this guy is calm, and let's admit it, stop trying to justify it with other people's driver. That's some BS, man. Just kill it, man. You can never be like Lewis Hamilton. Nobody expects Max to be a saint, but the guy is downright. This guy is downright, downright a horrible person. His father is even worse. Do you understand? Like, no grace at all whatsoever. And we have to be able to call a spade a spade. Nobody's expecting him to just be a decent guy. You can say you want to win. And again, I don't even care because it can be at the end of the day, man, all of these things that they are doing, it will still meet them in front. And I will be here to cook when it happens. Thank you.
Yeah, admin, please hold on before you go ahead. Um,
Oh, okay.
admin, please just hold on. Um, we have come on this space multiple times to say multiple things, and admin has tried as much as possible to organize his spaces in a way. What we would not do, or what I believe we should not do, is do what we're going to accuse others of. First and foremost, you're not going to come here, and I'm talking to you, Yemi, directly. You're not going to come here and make statements that are simply not true. Because some of us have been watching F1 for a long time. You said Lewis tweeted telemetry and he didn't know he should have tweeted it. For what we have access to now, telemetry was highly confidential back then, and only the teams had access to it. And I can go ahead and actually check and show you the records of how this thing happened. He felt Jensen was being favored over him. So what you're not going to do here is make statements that are untrue. That's one. Then two, please, we're not going to see white people. We majority of us are blacks here. We're not going to see white people accuse us or say certain things to us, and then we condemn it, and then in reverse we start doing same thing to them. Then how better are you than them? Let's not do that. The other day somebody came, I was calling, I was saying something, and admin corrected him. Enobong has corrected people. I have corrected people. So please, the whole calling of Max is calm is so not needed. You can use every other synonym, but trying to be uh, Max is not even trying to be like Lewis. He has said it multiple times. So why are we doing this? We're not going to condone this. It seems I'm agitated about it because I hate situations where I hate situations where one person feels, oh, he's right, oh, I'm in the right, I'm doing this, I can do this, and then they go ahead and flip the switch and do exactly the same thing to another person. So the whole calling of Max is calm, he's not raised well. For heaven's sake, this is a sport we just enjoy and we watch on Sunday to just relax. Why are we getting why are we getting well, see.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry,
Let's just
man.
yield the mic.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you, and I'm gonna stand by my words. Let me be clear. We're talking about the driver that head booted another driver in front of the world. The driver that's tried to it was trying to fight, right? So guys, understand, you can throw all the sentiment that won't do what that's some bullshit, man. The fact is the guy is not a well-behaved guy. If scum is hurtful to you, somebody calls me a person scum, okay, maybe scum is too hard. I take that back. But the guy is not a good, and let's call a spade a spade. He's not a well-behaved person. He's not a good ambassador of the sport, right? He's someone that was fighting another driver. Look at the way he behaved on track all over 2021. The guy is not, and he continues to do so. And I clearly said it. I've said it, but you people refuse to listen. I said, I don't care. I don't care for the
Yemi,
guy.
that is
He
your
can behave the way he
opinion,
wants to
for
behave.
heaven's sake. That is your
I don't care for
opinion.
him. And that's fine. It's my opinion. And I've said it. I don't care. I don't care for the guy. Anybody can love him. And I said that the first thing, that's the first thing I said, that people that support him can continue to support. I will not be here to dictate what people should do. But you continue to ignore that. Continuously ignore it. Because I've said it. I said, I will not be here to dictate whether people should support. But that's the first thing I said. That's the first thing I said. So you can continue to support Max. But we that do not support the guy because we think he's a bad, terrible ambassador for the sport, allow us our opinion. Because what you are doing right now, you think you accuse me of saying people should not have opinion, but that's what you are saying. I should not have an opinion. Can you see?
I
Can you
am
see the
not
way it
saying you
works?
should not have
Can you
your
see the way it
opinion.
works?
No, no,
So
no,
my
no, no,
opinion
no.
stands.
Yemi,
Let it
Yemi.
stand. You might
I
not
am not
like
saying
it.
you should
You
not
might not
have an
like it, but
opinion. I
but
am
let it
saying you
stand.
should not. I am saying you
You
should
do
not be
not get to
racist
dictate
towards him.
how
I am not saying. I am not
how
saying
I,
you should
how
not
I
have
should
an
feel about the
opinion.
driver. Do you
I'm
understand?
not
You
saying you
don't
should
get to
not have an
dictate it.
opinion.
You don't get. I'm
I'm
sorry,
Admin,
telling
but you
you
don't.
you
mute
should
all
You
not
of
be
don't get
us.
to
racist
dictate it.
towards him. That's what I'm
One house,
saying.
one house, please, one house,
You
please.
don't. I'm sorry, but you don't get to
Imadi,
dictate it. Just let
Imadi,
it
Imadi,
go.
wait. Imadi, wait. Imadi, wait. Me too, wait. Please, admin, just sorry. And I'm sorry to Lukman. I know Lukman was supposed to speak, but um, Yemi, one thing. You, as you rightly said, you don't dictate who everybody gets to support. Everybody here has their own favorite team or favorite driver and co. However, And side note to admin too, let's not, and maybe to everybody, let's not come on this space and try and use words like scum or whatever. Let's not gradually start making this place a bit toxic. I mean, everybody has their favorite driver. If you say stuff, hurtful stuff like scum against Max Verstappen's favorite driver just because he wanted to win a race, to me, it does not. To me, as again, I say to me, it doesn't make sense and it's totally uncalled for. There are other words you can use. We're all speakers of English language here. There are other words you can use. You can't just come and use the worst of words. People here hardly curse, hardly do anything. It's not because they don't know how to, but they need to keep the conversation civil, and that's why we all come here after every quali, after every race. Let's not just come and use some words that would probably just provoke feelings or stir up emotions in other people. We can keep the conversation civil and flowing. We're all adults here. We're all experienced people. We're not kids here. Let's not just let emotions just fly in the way and start using words which are not supposed to be used. Again, I'm sorry to look more, and I know I went ahead of you. That's just what I wanted to say.
Okay. Okay. Look, one. Sorry, just before you go ahead,
Yeah.
because, I believe
A good good
I believe
evening, everyone.
look, one. Sorry, 1 second, please. I believe I'm the one responsible for this space and platform. So, in as much as or rather, we try to provide a platform for everyone to come in, share their thoughts and opinions. Um, it's also our responsibility, every one of us, to be careful of what we say. Because we don't know how we might be hurting someone personally, emotionally, or mentally. You know, everyone is going through um, different things. Um, I'm not sure I was even going to. I was never going to say this, but couple, in the last couple of weeks, one of one of our favorite Sky Sports pundits got in touch with us, and then we put out a tweet that they were dragged severely, and then the person was all um the person was all sad from the text and message, and immediately we had to like put it down and apologize, because at the end of the day, you don't know how you tend to affect someone. So sometimes I believe when we talk about people, maybe let's say let's just describe what we see, and not necessarily um come out with maybe some words that might offend people. Personally, maybe in your personal space, you can say whatever you want to say, but sometimes I always advise people on public platforms, let's all be very cautious. You understand? Because everyone in this world that we are nowadays, everyone gets very offended, and it's not what you don't want to offend anybody, and you want to make sure you have a good relationship with everyone. So in short, I apologize to everyone that has felt offended, maybe by any words used or phrases used um while the space has been going on, either today, yesterday, or probably in the past. And then going forward, we'll try to minimize this as much as possible. So yeah, thank you very much. And look, man, please go on.
Okay.
Yeah, look, man.
Oh, okay. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, look, man.
Yeah. Sorry, my I keeps on it keeps on muting itself. Okay. I'm not sure how I can follow that conversation, but um,
Okay. Look, man, is everything okay? Okay. All right then. Um. Can we have Lookman? Are you good to go? Okay. Let's have Madeline, please.
Hi guys, good evening. So I didn't watch the race, but I followed it on the TL, and there's a part where I saw I think it was Checo when he asked what was the fastest lap or so. They told him the wrong thing. I don't know what was that about, please. I didn't watch the race, so I really don't know. And then secondly, please, what happened to Ferrari today? I know you guys might have talked about it today, so what happened to them? Was there anything special? Was there any incident that made them behind to race behind Mercedes?
Sorry, what was Madeline? What was your question again? Sorry, I wasn't. Uh,
She said,
What happened to
okay.
Scudera Ferrari? And what
oh,
yeah,
tire deck.
and
Oh,
yeah.
admin, you are not well, sir. Sorry, sir, you are not well.
But it's tire deck now. What was that? It's tire deck.
And why were they lying to Checo?
Who?
His team.
Where is Steam Line
They
to
were lying
check
to
up?
him when he was asking for the race time. That was it Max posted or something. He told him something. Meanwhile, he posted something faster. Um, I saw something like that on TL.
Eh,
So nobody
eh,
caught that.
No,
eh, eh.
I think was it Faye that described it perfectly. They
Oh,
weren't
sorry.
lying to him.
Okay,
They
okay.
they yeah. I don't know who described it, but they were telling him that the time that Verstappen was doing was 32.6, which is 36.2. Sorry, and they were telling him to drive. He should aim for 36.2. Per lap with a margin of 0.4. Right. So it wasn't necessarily lying to him. It was just saying
Oh,
try to keep your time within that window. And Perez was saying, okay, why are you asking me? No, I mean, I think Perez just has PTSD from how Red Bull has been treating him. So he was just
okay,
saying, why are you asking me to
okay.
drive at 33.0 when Verstappen is doing? Sorry,
Enobong,
yeah,
32
Enobong,
points.
yeah.
should I shock you? Should I shock you?
Shock me, please.
There was an agenda in that answer. And that is all I'll say. And Perez in that car, he knew it and he felt it. That thing was a straight one answer or two answer. There was an agenda. Perez knew and shut it down. That is, I
Well,
rest my case.
um, I mean, the conspiracy theorist in me would want to say yes, but I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. Let's just leave it like that. Let's leave it the way it is.
Also, I was going to bring up something, but I don't even know whether I should bring it up since we want to be doing kumbaya here. But anyway, I'll try as much as possible to be respectful. You see, when people bring up the whole thing about this boy being too young, he's just 25. When you get a job at a young age and you've already had how many years experience? I think he started racing at is it 17. So he has had like 8 years. Abi, how many years? So you can't say he's too young to know what to do, how to behave. Then again, Imade said we can't model perfect human beings out of these people. I think most of us are just reacting this way because of how maybe Lewis has been treated in this sport. The way anything, if Lewis should cough today, the whole world will cuss him out. So probably that's the way we're reacting.
Guys, I think we need to let this Max thing go. Um,
Exactly. This is what I
we need to
wanted to
let
say.
this Max thing go. Plus, because
Why?
as a
I've not
Lewis
even
fan,
finished
I
saying
don't want
what
to be
I'm.
forced to say.
as a Lewis fan, I don't want to be forced to say, what I don't want to say, but
And I
the
don't, I
world,
don't,
the
I don't
world
know
doesn't
how this
revolve
thing has.
around Lewis. Let's just move on.
Yes, I don't know how it
Yeah,
has now
true. I
become
was
a
even
case
going
of
to say
Max and
something.
Lewis and other drivers. Let's move on.
Yeah, I was even
Admin.
going to even say something regarding that. Sorry, Regis. Um, to date, actually, I don't even blame Max for saying what he said. He's an athlete. He's really competitive, so of course he should be disappointed. Nobody remembers second. Even to still today, when someone asks Lewis about George, I'm sure you're happy about George's podium. He's like, that has nothing to do with me. So I mean, these guys are athletes. They expect better from themselves. So
Exactly. Uh, um, I think everyone at the end of the day, there's no one that comes to any sport to come and play second fiddle. You know, even anyway, let me not say except the man that is making gin, but yeah. Lukman, please go ahead.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Okay, so sorry about earlier. I think my phone just seized up for some reason. Um, yeah, just a quick song. Good evening, everyone. Sorry. Um, just a quick summary for me. I think the race was very good. I really enjoyed the race. There was it brought back a bit of tension, which I didn't experience when I saw Bahrain last week. Um, First of all, the top people, I think Perez did a fantastic job. He even maintained the gap to Max while the race was going. And I have to say, I know you had a big debate about it. Listening to Max in the press conference, I didn't think he showed any emotional intelligence. I'm sorry to say. Having said that, you could argue that he might be playing psychology on Perez, basically trying to tell him whether you win the race or not, I'm still here. So you can look at it both ways. But I still think that what he said was quite edge on the edge because the guy was sitting there and he goes, I'm not here to come second. I still think it's not acknowledging the good job that Perez did to win the race. In terms of Mercedes, I think it's very positive. I'm very happy about where they got to today. But I think George actually plays a game. I know it was in order. There was no order given for him to let Hamilton through. But he actually does this regularly. He pretends to come up with a different discussion when that situation is about to happen. Because they were already talking to him, and all of a sudden he goes, oh, Alonso might get a 5 second penalty. He did the same thing in Brazil. And so he's very clever. It's not just a young boy. If he doesn't want to give way, like a typical driver, he's not going to do it. So he start coming up with different conversations so that he doesn't listen to any order that might come. So, but I'm not saying that they gave him anything. McLaurin, oh God, I think the battle has been drawn now between Lando and Piastri because I think during the interview, after race interview, Lando was basically saying, I didn't have to let him pass, sort of thing. So there's already battle drawn there. As long as they can get a good car, I think those two will be having a go at each other. As far as Alonso is concerned, I thought he did a good job today. I felt sorry for a bit for Stroll because I think he could have done something better as well. And Butters, I don't know what to say about him. Hawkenborg, he's proving me right. He just is not a good driver as far as I'm concerned. I know he's been in the business for a long time. I just don't think this guy is going to get anywhere. And I'll leave it at that for now.
Please let me ask a question. Is here somebody said yesterday that Hockenberg is one of the best drivers? Who said that yesterday, please?
Oh, you could do that thing.
So I know bang am I lying?
Sorry.
Someone said it now.
No, you're not. Someone was here
So,
like defending.
so okay.
But he's an experienced driver, not a good driver. He's an
He's
experienced
an
He
driver.
said he's one of the best.
he's an experienced driver. But what I'm saying is, I think what I said yesterday was that the people in the paddock are always rating him. They're always saying, if anything happens, oh, get Hulkenberg. I don't get it. I don't understand why. Even the professional people that have been in the business for a long time, they always rate this guy, and I don't understand it.
They said if you put him in a Williams that is coming last, that he's going to put that Williams in midfield. That's why he's a midfield driver.
It's a midfielder, exactly.
But why are people surprised? F1 pundits do this all the time. They find a way to hype someone up and set you up for failure. That's what it is.
Anyways, let's move down a bit to the back of the grid. Alpha Tauri. Once again, I said it. Yesterday I made a statement that let me even see where the guy finished again. Let me just oh well, my statement is valid. Is valid. Why is it valid? Due to the Mercedes power unit. So I actually said if Nick De Vries should finish above P15, my agenda will stop. But unfortunately, we finished P14. And we're counting the Stroll power unit issue, which is not Stroll's fault. But Yuki Tsunoda finished P11. So he Magnussen just barely snatched the points from him. I believe was he on the last lap or so. Uh, after being behind Yuki for so long, and then he finally got the overtake done. So I would say I would say at the moment Yuki hasn't disappointed. Because when Pierre was there last year, the benchmark was Pierre, and obviously Pierre is a better driver than Yuki, race winner, multiple podiums. He has been on the podium several times. So, will I say that was the benchmark we're using? But currently, Yuki is the one setting the benchmark in AlphaTauri. So it's going to be interesting how things are going to play out for Nick De Vries in Australia and the races after. Even though I can't remember the next race, the race after Australia, but I look forward to what Nick is going to do in Australia, because Australia is another street circuit, so should be how do you explain it? And it's pretty straightforward with multiple DRS zones. So one should be able to say, okay, what he's able to do there, having gone to 3 different tracks, you're able to say, okay, is this guy really meant to be in this seat, or they should have another replacement next season. But yeah, for now, I would say Yuki is safe because he ain't going nowhere with his current performance. So okay, I see Daniela's hand up.
Yeah. Sorry to go back. I just wanted to point out something about the conversation we had. The statement that engineer Yemi made. And Imali rightfully pointed out
Which
that
Daniela, what are you dragging us back to? Hold on, why are you dragging
no,
us back
I
to?
just want
First
to make
of
the
all,
point. You see,
Daniela, I beg you, let's focus on
it's
forward.
very
Let's
short. It's
focus
very
forward.
short.
I
It's
beg
very
you.
short. Admin, I promise.
Daniela, please,
The,
let's focus forward. I just gotta beg you.
I will. I promise. I
Please,
just want to
please,
say that
please.
when we are holding, I think what we would like to see is the same accountability for when Max or when these things happen. We want to see the same accountability and the same energy when he does do it. I think the reason why we feel this way, or some people may feel this way about Max's behavior or talk about it goes unmentioned, and for even the initial reaction from people was like, oh, we know Max, this is how he behaves. But clearly when people react to him in the similar way, they are like, oh, well, that's not right, you can't say this, or this is not the right vocabulary to use, or you should have said it a better way. So when it feels like a double standard. That's all I'm saying, is that we would like that same accountability for Max when these incidents happen. So that the expectation cannot be, oh, we cannot say anything bad about Max, but when he says something bad about other people, we can't hold it. Then you people said we don't want perfect people. Then anyone can say whatever they want. So we live in a society where we demand mutual respect. It has nothing to do with sports. We talk look at sportsmanship. Look at Lewis's, and you say people said, why are you talking about his father? Why are you bringing all these things in? Context matters. Look at what happened in Abu Dhabi. Look at what happened, and not talking about the race, but about how the Hamiltons responded in that moment. Just Verstappen was standing at Checo, didn't even hug Checo, didn't even congratulate him, was standing there frowning his face. Lewis Hamilton, look at what happened to him. Lewis Hamilton's dad walked over, shook their hand, and they went on their merry. No bad. That's the least you can do. There are cameras rolling. There are people there. They do. Some people say, "Oh, there are children watching. It's a sport, role model, blah 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 blah." Although he's the current world champion, is he not? Yes. So that comes the level of expectation. You have put number one on your car. You're the number one person in the sport. That comes the level of expectation. So we can't be one rule for all the other drivers and different rule for us. And yes, in the past, people have done things that are bad. Yes, Lewis, oh, he did this. Oh, yeah, Vettel did this. But two wrongs don't make a right. Max, in this day and age, just because it happened, other drivers did it in the past, that's not grounds to say, oh, now that I'm old, I'm also young, so I also just misbehave and say what I want to say, and I'll just say that, oh, once when people were young, they did the same thing. That's not how we evolved. When the Nobel talked about emotional intelligence, that's what I would like to see more of from Max. So that's just my point. It's not to bash anyone or to say, but when we talk about language and discussions about it, we should hold everyone accountable to the same standard and not just say one person is their personality and that's how they are, and everybody else shouldn't bring up those matters or discuss it. This is the same, and the reason why when we bring parents and we talk about Max's parents have gone to type things online, on the internet about Checo, his mother or his auntie or
Daniela,
somebody. That's
Daniela,
what I'm saying.
Daniela, please, Daniela,
Thank you.
Daniela,
Admin,
Daniela.
I yield the mic. Thank you. That's all. I yield the
Thank
mic.
you, thank
Daniela,
you,
God will bless you very much. God will bless you very much. Thank you.
thank you all, thank you all.
Admin, let's move on. It's okay. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's not breathe in. Let's not breathe in, and let's just breathe out. Okay, okay. Where are
Admin,
we
are we
setting?
starting from the back? Should we start from the
Where
back?
are we setting the next agenda? We're on Alpha Tari. We can Alpha Tari, Williams, and what do you call them? Alpha Romero. You know. So yeah. Um, did anyone want to chip in? Regis, were you going to chip in?
Yes, I'll start, but real quick. I think those people you've called now are the people that didn't come to the race, including McLaren. So AlphaTauri, I'm going to hold myself accountable for something I said about Nick De Vries and Yuki Tsunoda. And again, I'm going to say, like, De Vries is not living even close to expectation. The guy comes like he's thinking about his Sunday roast even when he's in the car, because I don't understand what's going on. And if you were to ask me now, I feel like the first person to lose, if anyone was to lose their seat this season, Nick would be the first one to go. But we'll give him the benefit of the doubt for the Australia race. Like you said, that will be 3 races. And let's see, maybe after Baku, because the team has to start making changes. Romero, I be Romeo, with Joe Guan Yu and Valtteri Bottas. That is how I feel like that team and their what do they call it? Like, the dynamics of that team is really good. This week it is Joe. Next week it is Bottas, and then they have the kind of I don't know if it's mutual respect for all of us to see, or if they actually do have mutual respect. I feel like personally, Joe will go home and think to himself like he had a good race, finishing ahead of Bottas. I can't remember how they qualified. Who's the other guys? Um, yeah, Sargent and Albon. Sargent will be really, really proud of himself. I think the team are even proud of him. They posted something, another good outing from last on the grid. He finished 15th, which is good. Albon not finishing. I think Albon would have come somewhere around 12th, 13th, which would have been good for him as well.
Sorry,
McLaren.
sorry to chip in, Regis. Albon overtook Lando.
Yeah, he was running in a good place before
Hmm.
his breaks. Yeah.
Well, okay.
And then one thing before I go, I want to say something. If that if that safety car did not come out, would Ferrari have done like would they have finished like that? Do you think would they have finished ahead of Mercedes? I feel like that safety car did not favor them as well. So if we did trash them, let us trash them small, and they couldn't make those hard tires work for them. So those back teams, the worst team on the grid for me today, not even McLaren. I think it will go to Alfa Romeo of Bottas because of how rubbish Bottas was. He dragged Joe down. I would have given it to McLaren, but Piastri gave us some action. So worst team today will be Alfa Romeo, and best team obviously has to be Red Bull Racing. I yield the mic.
Sorry, I just wanted to quickly react to what Reggie said, his question around Ferrari. So, contrary to what people are saying online, I mean, some people are saying online, I actually think that starting Lewis Hamilton on the hards was a good decision. I think that without the safety car, Lewis would have gone in for the mediums. I think that he would have been able to jump the Ferraris, pass
You
them on
reckon,
track today. Yeah, I think he
bro?
would have been able to pass them on
He
track today.
couldn't do anything with that tire. I mean, with
With
those
which
tires,
tire?
with the mediums,
No,
he
no.
was
No,
struggling.
if there was no safety car, right? Chances are the Ferraris would have gone in and changing for hards, and Lewis would have come in, for a pit stop later. What that
Mm.
would mean is that he would not have to cover as much ground with his medium tire as he did when he pitted under the safety car. So he would have had way fresher mediums, which are faster cars than how many old lap hards. And I think that he would have been able to pass the Ferrari on track. That's what I think, though.
Where do you think he would have not ended up? Like with Lance Stroll still on the track?
I think that if Lance Stroll was still on the track, Lewis probably would have finished behind Lance. But I
Lewis will
think Lance,
finish. He would have finished
I,
eighth
I think
today.
the order would have been Perez, Max, Alonso, George, Stroll, and Lewis. I think that's what it would have been.
Do you think he would have gone? He'd have gone ahead of Science. I don't know, Max. I
I
don't
think
know.
he would have. I think he would have. But anyway, I mean,
Who
can
Stroll?
agree to disagree. No,
No,
Saints.
Lewis.
Lewis getting
Mm,
ahead of Saints. I think he would have. I think if
okay.
he would have pitted late, then he would have had fresher mediums, and people would have been on how many, like 10 laps or 9 laps old hards.
Oh,
I think he would have jumped him.
okay. Now hear me now. Yeah. So he was on those mediums, and George was on hards. Yeah. They were literally fresh. Why couldn't he overtake? Why couldn't he go ahead of George and then push a bit more? So
Because he
that's
would not
why
have
it
gotten
begs me.
past Aston Martin today. Like I don't. We keep underestimating how. I personally don't think that Lewis would have gotten past that Aston Martin today. I think what would have happened is Lewis would have gone past George, would have gone forward, not been able to get past the Aston Martins. They will now invert the cars back and they will finish as is. I don't think that Lewis would have gotten past Aston Martin.
Yeah,
I mean, we
myself
can
too.
agree to
I
disagree.
don't
Yeah.
think so. I don't think he would have.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I'm playing. I don't know if I'm playing devil's advocate for. I love Ferrari. I just Charles deserves better in my opinion, and it's not just happening for them. It's I thought this season he was going to be fighting for what? He's 2 races in, but yeah, it's beginning to go away. They
Yeah, but
better do something.
also with
Mm,
Charles, what's with him constantly asking to be for team orders? I mean, he ended up
Yeah,
finishing
he's
7 seconds
begging every time, Abby. You don't see
every
this now.
single time. He
Every
ended up
single
finishing
time.
seven
I'm
seconds
always
behind his
slow.
teammates.
Go and overtake him now.
Exactly. Like you keep begging for team orders every single race, yet you finish 7 seconds behind your teammates. Anyway,
Oh my god, I don't get
Anyway, speaking about podium, Alonso did not agree. Oh. Alonso came out just tweeted about 4 minutes ago. 100th podium. What an amazing team we have and fast car. Proud of you, Aston Martin.
mad though.
So, yeah, Mercedes, what they are trying to tell you that young girls, so you guys need to work harder. It's not your podium. Yeah. Anyways, okay. Okay, I see. So let's have Yemi. Then we'll have a read one next, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to say that I honestly don't think Lewis would have. I don't think he would have, even if he started. I mean, even if there was no safety car, I don't think he would have. I think it would have actually been worse. I think the safety car made it better because if there was no safety car, then he would have had to do some overtaking to get to where he was. Right? Yeah, he will have if he would have had fewer laps to do the overtaking for, but he will still have to do the overtaking. If you look at the pace of everybody else on the hard, it seemed like they could push that hard tire as fast as they wanted. Look at George opening up the gap. I think everything boils down this weekend to the that to or to this to yesterday and today to the fact that Lewis got the setup wrong. He was not the pace. That's just the cold hard truth about the weekend. It's simple and short. So we just have to take the L and we move to the next race. That's just what it was. Because even I think had Lewis got this he set up correctly or whatever it is, if he was in a happy place in the car, then he definitely would have been able to jump George easily, right? Because from last year and even last race, like you can tell that Lewis is quicker, is a quicker driver, but obviously George, did a much better job this race, and that's just what it is sometimes. I don't think there was any scenario in this race where unless maybe it was a situation where Lewis was on soft tires and George was on hard. Like that was kind of advantage he needed to have to overtake George in this race. I don't think there was anything I could have done. That's just
Mm.
the cold hard truth, and that's just I mean that's how I feel. But ultimately, I think the most important thing is that at least we are not shitting the bed like Ferrari. And and even though people should be questioning I don't know why anybody has questioned their concept yet. I don't know why anybody like we should start questioning that concept. It's horrible. Like why do they have those kind of side ports? I don't know why. Like we need to start because if it's messages now, everybody will be some certain people will be they will start saying, oh, why they should change their concept, their side port. But I don't know. See Ferrari, man, 2 races and they are still crap. So I think we all need to just leave Lewis and George and let's focus on the Ferrari. Those are the teams that are the teams that have gone like they've gone backward this season and it's not even going to get better. So yeah, Ferrari they need to change their concept. They need to really change it because it's not a good concept. Thank you.
Admin, please, can I ask me something?
Thank
Quick
you
one,
very much. Okay.
please.
Please
Please, I
let
know,
me
I know.
know.
Yeah, me. I know
Okay.
that Lewis is the faster driver. Is yeah, but how do you know who is a faster driver? Hear what I'm saying? Yeah, is it over one lap or like is it in the whole race? No, you just said Lewis is the faster driver. What I'm saying is 2 races this season, George has qualified ahead. I'm not saying don't get me wrong. I'm not saying George is a faster driver. I'm just saying how do you classify who a faster driver is?
Good question. It's a tricky one in my opinion, right? It's a very tricky one. George is obviously a very quick driver, no doubt. But I think Lewis is still faster. And here's why. And the question is tricky because what we've seen from Lewis since 2014 is he's actually deprioritized qualifying. He realized at some point that actually qualifying doesn't really matter like that. That if I'm quicker, if I can, all I need to just do is be 110 behind you. I mean, if I basically his mindset was I'll optimize for the race always, and if I optimize for the race, I'll then go and see what I can do in quali. Because he's a naturally quick driver, he was still better than many of his teammates in quali, anyways. But he didn't really care about quali because he was always destroying his teammates in the race. Look at last season, right? Um, George beat him by 2 races in quali, and I would argue that it could have actually been in the reverse, if not for all the testing. But you know what? We can accept that George beat him in quali. But in the race, man, Lewis still, even with all the handicaps, Lewis still beat him in the races. I'm gonna check all the historical, all everything throughout his career. Lewis is always decking his teammates in the race. In 2014, Rosberg won the pole position award in 2014. Lewis still won, right? And then destroyed him in 2015. Complete destruction. So will you say Rosberg is a faster driver than Lewis? Of course not. Do you get so? But as I said, like you can't use one lap pace to answer that question. It's a mixture of both. It's really more about who is consistently faster. Lewis showed last year is consistently faster than George. And Lewis has come out and said this year, look, I do not connect with this guy. I'm not comfortable with it, right? And So Lewis that is not comfortable in the car, beat George in the race last race. And if you look at their qualifying in Bahrain, it was like half more than less than a tenth, like maybe 20, like I mean, what, like, I mean, get what I'm saying? It was so tiny. They were literally
I
on the
get you. I
same.
get you.
Exactly, get my point, right? This race, it was clear something was off because Lewis was as quick, if not quicker, than George in the second and third sectors. He was losing all his time in the first sector, so there was clearly something up beyond, but I'm not here to make it. I've already said that, look, he did a better job this race, and that's what it is, and I still think he's a faster, and you see it over the season. You see it over the season. The day Lewis knows that he can't do it again, he will leave the sport. It's just that simple. He's in the sport because he believes that he's still the best out there, right? Granted, the car they haven't provided him with a car that for him to do what he wants to do, but he's in the sport because he still believes that he's the best. And as long as he remains in the sport, or as long as he continues to decide to say, okay, I want to still be in this sport, he knows that he has to be fighting tooth and nail every race to be ahead of George, right? I'm actually happy, look, what happens because he needs to get my name
Hold
about.
on, hold on, hold on. Sorry to come in here. I mean, breaking news. A crying. It's gonna be a crying evening for Mercedes fans because the penalty has been overturned or is gonna be overturned. So
Why is
taking
the
George Russell
FIA
back
so
to
stupid?
P4, Alonso back on the podium. But yeah,
Wahala.
Yemi, please.
Yeah. So my point stands. I'm ready to get my point right. Like, ultimately, it's not about. It's difficult to say one lap. I've noticed He will learn. George will eventually learn that you can optimize for a lap, but ultimately, race pace is where it counts. And for me driver like Lewis is a veteran at winning world championships. He understands that the point are won in the race, right? He's mastered the art of winning the race at the slowest possible pace. If you actually look at it, at the beginning of Lewis's career, he was more like an Ayrton Senna kind of driver. But actually, recent years, from 2014, 15 up until now, he's actually more like a Prost type of driver who is very calculated. Doesn't want to be. He's not taking too much risk. He has a lot in reserve. Notice anytime Lewis is not fighting for a championship, he doesn't really send like that because he knows that it doesn't matter to him because he's won everything. So for not fighting for a championship, it doesn't. It's only by the time you see when he enters fight. Look, let that car become a championship fighting car, and you see a different animal. That's just how Lewis operates these days. The guy knows that he's old, so he can't be fighting every day. These guys he's fighting with young boys, man. They have the energy, and that's the truth. They have the energy, so he can't be fighting dogged like the way he has to keep his energy and bring it out when it's needed. That's the kind of driver he is now.
Yeah, I mean, you
So
know what it is, yeah?
so yeah.
This thing now we said today, we are going to archive it and keep it for remembrance so that when it happens over and over and over again, we'll revisit
If
this
it happens
topic.
over and over again, and clearly George has become faster, I'll be the first to admit it to you. There's nothing like story here. Even Lewis will tell that this guy is every weekend is beating me. There's no way. You at that point, he knows that it's time for me to go. Do you get? There's no.
Sorry,
It would.
sorry. I mean, let me come in. I think the penalty might still stand for Alonso. So
Admin,
Oh
what's
wow.
up now?
it's
Admin.
the way the update is coming now.
Why
That's
they
why.
take us?
Sorry, yeah, it's the way the update is coming. Anything is not in better. You get me?
No problem. But I mean, I yield the mic.
Thank you, boss. Okay, let's have read one, please. Read one, please. Go ahead. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me, please?
Read one. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me, right?
But it's like you are hiding. I don't know. It sounds like you're hiding to talk. Can you? You sound muffled. I beg. Sorry.
Okay.
Read one. Okay. And okay. Let's have a look one. Then we'll have
Thank you.
Komodo after. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to support what somebody was saying about Lewis Hamilton. I think if you've been following Lewis Hamilton for a long time, you get what that well, I don't know if that was who was speaking then. I don't know if it was Yemi. Um, if you've been following Hamilton for a long time, you would know that he changed his priority ages ago. He decided not to Paul is not he's still he'd love to get Paul, obviously, but he works according to what he's got, the car he's got. If he's got a car and he knows what the car can do, he works accordingly. So what he's done is improved his racecraft over the years, and he believes he can win a race, even if he's got not the best car, or he can manipulate the car. So just for today, for example, he actually admitted that the setup for his car, he chose the wrong setup. And he admitted that Russell chose the right setup. That's why he couldn't really do any better. But he always believes that he can get something out of the race rather than the actual going fast. So I absolutely agree with, you can't just judge somebody by because you don't know what they're thinking, you don't know what strategy they're using. So then if they're not going to show their, especially Lewis, he plays this crafty game now that he doesn't show his hand right from the beginning. My only thing about Lewis is that sometimes I think he needs to take the risk, and sometimes he doesn't take the risk. Sometimes for some reason, because he's matured, he decides not to take the risk, and he's obviously prioritized the way he's going to race the race. So I think that's why I was just going to support what somebody was saying earlier.
Thank you very much. Anyway, still on the podium matter, they said Aston Martin believe they can get the podium. So I just have to put the update there. So that that it's not fully sure. But yeah, let's have Ridwan. Can we have you again, please?
Uh, Hello, good evening. Can you hear me like this?
Very well.
Okay, okay. So it was for me an exciting race. I really enjoyed it. To be honest, I enjoyed it. Like I was kind of nervous at the end of the beginning of the race, but so like it went well. Max was able to get through that early stage, that the first lap. So I think after that first lap, I knew, yes, this guy is going to charge to the front of the field. Like, congratulations to Checo. He did very well. Like, yes, I think now we can now see that yes, Checo is a very good driver. Maybe those that want him to be dropped for the other, like to the third driver, maybe now they'll be saying that yes, he's a very good driver. Checo is a very good driver, and a king like the king of the streets. So he's very good on street circuits also. Like, and that was brilliant from him. Even when Max got close, even when Max got to P2, was able to maintain the lap times, and he did well also. So that's good for him. And I think that's brilliant from Red Bull 1 and 2. So I think that's quite brilliant. They just have to fix all this mechanical issue. Like, the thing is getting too much. Even Checo was complaining about it, all these issues. I think they should be able to fix it before Australia. I think, and this season we've got a very good car, and the car, even with quali, it was last season that we don't really care about qualifying. That we've got a good race car. This year we've got a good qualifying car, a good race car also, and that's, I think, the team has done well until the penalty kicks in. Let's keep winning till then. So I think that's pretty much for my own about Red Bull. For the Ferrari team, I don't know what's wrong with them. I think the strategy they made during the beginning of the race, I think that was quite like that it was quite good. Starting Leclerc on the soft, because fine, the salt is more very much quicker, and you will be able to pass the car. And I think when they went on to the ads, I think the ads was quite rubbish for them, so they were not able to make gains with ease. So I think that's the problem with them. I think that's what's fucked. Like that's what hindered their race. So they were not able to like. I think they are having some engine issues also. So and even all the like their customer team are not even complaining about it. I think maybe only Bottas today. Even the As and therefore Romeo, I think there's something just wrong with that Ferrari engine. And I think the engine is letting them down to be able to push because why would they be having like free practice? They won't be on full power mode, and during the race you will not be expect you can't like it will be different for the drivers, and I think it's affecting really affecting them. For like the for Mercedes, I think they had a pretty good race today. I think maybe due to they were faster than Ferrari on the hard with the hard compound tire. I think they did well also. Mercedes did well today, based on what they've been going through. I think they did well for Aston Martin. It was quite shameful that Stroll had that issue. I don't even know the issue right now, but I think it was like so. But I think they did. Aston Martin also did well. Also, that car is very good. Not as fast as the Red Bull, but I think he's the fastest car on the grid right now. And when upgrade kicks in into that car, you'll be able to like the car will be very very fast. So I think that's like what they've done. They did a very good job during the winter. So I think that's okay with them. So my own about this is just to bring it into if like even the Mercedes engine that we call like the best like the reliable engine on the grid. I still think the engine still has some slight problem also because Lance Stroll having that reliability today. Also, even the McLarens also they were not able to make gains with that engine, and like, so I think the engine also has some issues. I think some issues. Even if you notice at the end of was it not at the end of last season at Abu Dhabi, I think yes, last season Lewis also had an engine problem. I think it was the engine or gearbox. I'm not sure. I had so I think that engine also has its own problem, and I think that engine is not reaching some maximum speed like the Honda engine. I think that Honda engine is reaching something like 338 kph. I think the Mercedes is reaching, is it not like 330 or 329? I'm not that sure. So I think I'm not that sure. So I think that engine also, but the engine is reliable, so it's quite reliable, so it's quite good for them. But so for McLaren, my goodness, that car is a proper tractor. That car should not be on the grid. That car is rubbish. Like Norris was with DRS like on Sargent, and that car was so slow down the pit straight. Like Norris, like coming into the corner, Norris would be like point 0.4, like behind Sargent. That's straight, and Sargent was not even having DRS. He couldn't overtake him. There was a time De Vries, like in during the race, that De Vries like yeah he passed a sergeant at that turn 27. The sergeant had like he made a mistake, something like that. Norris was side by side with him, and this guy couldn't overtake him. That car is just rubbish. The car is maybe the car is draggy. Straight line speed is zero. Like that car is just rubbish. So I just feel for the driver sha, that they are driving it. So that car, they seriously needs to do something about it. So and Aston Martin, like sorry, the Alfa Romeo, I don't know what happened to Bottas. Maybe the car had an issue or something like that. Joe did a good job, and Logan Sargent, the guy is quite good. He did well. And for Alpha Tauri, I think the car is letting them down, but I think the drivers are pushing, most especially Yuki. This is the second race fighting for the last points, and is not able to
Reader, hold
take
up,
it.
hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Breaking news. Alonso's penalty has been overturned.
Ah,
Therefore,
damn.
officially awarding him his 100th podium in Formula One, joining the top six. Rather
Okay.
joining is among the is one of the six drivers with 100 podiums or more. So yeah, and congratulations to Alonso. Also congratulations to Mercedes. While it lasted. Yeah, we move. Congratulations, everybody. Read on, carry on.
Okay, so for the Alpha Tauri, I think like they did a very good, like the car is still somehow but I think the drivers are pushing. The drivers are pushing. So I think Yuki this is his second race on a row fighting for P10 to the end of the race. So I think the drivers are giving their best, but the team needs to up their game. And I think I've talked, and the Alpine boys also they did well. So I think I don't we did not see much of them during the race, but I think that's their I think with their car and where they should be, I think they did well. I think they like was it not eighth or ninth or something like that, sha. So around that they were in the points, sha. So I think they did well. So congratulations to my team about the race, and I think we move forward to we look forward to what will happen in Australia. So thank you.
Thank you, Ridwan. Can we have I am Komodo next? Then we'll have Daniela, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Then please after Daniela, we'll talk about this FIA because this FIA I don't know what they are smoking. What's all this?
Ah,
Yeah, you
I
hear me?
mean, hmm.
It's giving me a bit of a headache. But yeah, Komodo. Please go ahead. Thank you and
Yeah,
welcome.
I just had a few questions because to be honest, this is the first race I'm watching ever. Like I just going to Formula One, I think in February. Before the race started. This was the first one I'm watching. I missed the last race because of work and stuff. I had like questions about the penalties that they gave Alonso. The first 5 second penalty about how he started the race. Like I tried to listen to how why they gave him that penalty. I think how he started and the position of his car and stuff like that. It's the second one that I was completely confused about because from the commentary they said I think someone had a hand on the tire or something. It's not like they were working on the car. They were just waiting till when, like trying to prepare themselves till when the penalty was over or whatever that is. That's and another thing is why didn't they tell them about the 10-second penalty while they were in the pit? Like while he left or while he was on the race so that he will know so that he can push harder. Even from what he said after the race, if he knew he had a 10-second penalty, he would have obviously pushed harder. It's just the penalties that are confusing me. And what else again? Yeah, the tires. I really don't understand it. I will understand later over time as I keep watching, like the tactics about the tires. Because I noticed almost everybody was on mediums. Hamilton was on hard. Yeah, I think someone was on softs or hard again. I've forgotten who else was on hard. I just need someone to explain that to me, especially the penalties.
So I think that for the tires, I think they changed the regulations for this season where you're free to use whatever tires you want to start the race. So people are free to opt for either hard, medium, or soft, as the case may be. Then for the penalty for the starting grid, I think so. You're supposed to have your tire um within the line. So if you look at the track, right, there's a line in front and by the sides, right. So you're supposed to have your tires, you're supposed to be inside that line to start, right. So he got that penalty because his tires were not like were out of I think his left tires were out of the line. Now the conversation around that was why it does not necessarily give him an advantage. I think there are conversations around if it was a wet race, in the past, they've seen, how starting from there can give people an advantage, in terms of when the runoffs in turn one and all of that. So there was that conversation. So Ocon, someone else got a similar penalty last race for doing the same thing. So it's the FIA is trying to do something now where they are more consistent with the way that they apply penalties. So so he had to get a penalty for that. Now for being in the what's it called in the pit lane, if you have a 5 second, a 10 second penalty, whatever, and it's a stop and go penalty, it means that while you're in the pits, if it's a 5 second penalty like Alonso, once you get into the pits for 5 seconds, your mechanics are not allowed to touch your car or work on your car or do anything. Now, after the 5 second, I think a light goes off, or they show. I don't know whether it's like a placard or something that they show, and then after the 5 seconds, you're free to start working on the car. So what happened was he pitted, and then I think a mechanic's hand or something like that, or touched the car. Or there was someone touched the car while the 5 seconds had not been served. So you do 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, then you can touch the car. So I think that's what it was. So I don't know why it has been overturned. Maybe they saw that the person did not actually do any work on the car and all of that. It's probably something we have to go and look at. But yeah, that was why they now said, okay, a mechanic touched the car while you were there, so we'll give you a 10 second penalty. Because it happened last race, so someone got the same penalty for the mechanic working on their car 0.4 seconds before the penalty was over. Now, why the FIA did not implement that penalty during the race, it's an entirely different conversation that admin has just said that we would discuss. The biggest issue, one of the biggest issues we had with F1, over the recent years is that the FIA has not consistently applied penalties, the way that they should be, have not investigated issues, when they were supposed to, and all of that. But it could also be that the FIA missed that, and a rival team, I'm not saying Mercedes, but an rival, because it has happened in the past where the FIA can miss it, but a rival team would point them to it and say, this happened, you guys should look into it. So it could also be that. And because maybe so much is going on in the race, the FIA now says, okay, we'll investigate it after the race. But we don't know how the FIA thinks. So maybe this is the time to have the conversation around the FIA consistently applying their rules.
Can I just add to that? I think I actually think they've exonerated him because the FIA didn't tell him that during the race about the potential. They had 30 minutes to tell him, because I actually think the jack, one of the jack, the man that is carrying the jack, actually touched the car, accidentally lifted the car up, and I think that's what they gave the penalty for. But instead of them to have to tell him while the race was going on, they didn't, and I reckon that's what Alpine had appealed on, and I think that's why they won. They won the appeal. I think he actually, and the engineer actually touched the car while the car was there to be waiting for 5 seconds.
And not to bring you back to Mercedes, but Mercedes fans, this is what we always talk about. See how Aston Martin fought for it, and then
Exactly, I
they
agree.
when they talk about Mercedes, just like, no, we're taking the high road. Anyway, that's by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, thank you. Can we have hey, Bud Bliss, and then Daniela, and then I guess we'll have Papi. Then
Okay,
just think about the FI before we start rounding up. Yeah.
okay, just still on the Alonso penalty. I believe there's some portion of the regulations that says that you can't actually serve that penalty under a safety car or a virtual safety car, because if you think about it, 5 seconds is not 5 seconds when you're under the safety car. So what they've done here is said basically Alonso never served that penalty, so you can't penalize him for having the red jackman touching the car. So they've basically just given him the 5 second penalty, like added the 5 seconds to his time at the end of the day, which would be fair. I don't know if that's what has happened, but that's what I've been saying since. I've been telling people around me, you can't, penalize him for not serving the penalty correctly when he was done under the safety car. So that was just what I wanted to add.
But if that is the case,
But
then the
no, but I think
FIA
they've
is
come out and
stupid.
said that they've actually come out and said that in this there is precedence to show that you can serve a penalty under the safety car. There is precedence for that. It's been said.
Yeah, but it's in the regulations. You can't, and some other team will question this when it doesn't favor them, because if you think about it, 5 seconds when everybody is going at full speed and 5 seconds under the safety car are two very different things. So if you're serving your penalty under the safety car, you're getting a chip. It's no longer a five
Yeah,
second penalty.
yeah, but
Well,
I think all of this is alleged. The conversation right now is that, I mean, I was hearing all the conversation. The conversation right now is that it's not necessarily stated. It's not stated in the rule book that you cannot serve that. I think it's all these things with loopholes. That it's not stated in the rule book that you can't serve it under a safety car.
Huh?
I think that conversation had come up and they had cleared that.
No,
to
it's
be
actually in
honest
the
with you, that's
regulations,
that.
unless it was changed recently. But it has been in the regulations when they introduced the virtual safety car that you can't serve your penalty in the pits.
Sorry, did it just stop? Can anyone hear me?
I
Yeah,
can
I
I
can hear
can
you.
hear you.
Oh, okay. Bob, is that the end of the conversation?
No, I don't. I'm
No,
just saying. I'm just saying.
I was,
I can be corrected, but like I'm saying, last I checked the rules, and this is what I was saying when they were talking about the penalty. Even when the race was on, I was telling somebody beside me, he can't serve that penalty under the safety car because it's just a cheap penalty for him. He's getting away with
yeah,
nothing.
but is that based on? I know what you mean. That is cheap penalty, but what do you say when they go into change tires on the virtual safety car or under safety car?
Ye-
That's
ye-
a cheap
Yeah,
tire change.
everybody's allowed that chip stop if you want to go in under the virtual safety car. But if you're supposed to serve a 5 second time penalty, then you should serve a 5 second time penalty when everybody's going on full speed, not when the safety
Mm,
car is out. Then it's no longer a 5 second time penalty.
mm, I must
I
admit that's
agree.
the
I
first
hear what
time
you're
I've heard
saying,
that.
but please. Because now Aston Martin will go and plead that look, it was done under the safety car, so it's no longer a 10-second penalty. It's now a 5 second penalty, and he was 5 seconds ahead of George Russell. So case closed,
Exactly.
dismissed.
Exactly.
Exactly. So why will you give me 10 seconds when it can be 5 seconds? I can fight that one. That this one will make more sense.
But I don't think that's where what they base their appeal on. I think they base their appeal on the. I haven't listened to it, but I think they base their appeal on the fact that they didn't tell them why the race was ongoing because Alonso could have clawed back that time. He was fast enough, I think.
Yeah, well, in all
Did
of
they
this,
tell Ocon his own?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't.
I think they told him.
Okay,
Yeah,
first.
in all of this, yeah, I think at the end of the day, Alonso, whether the 5 second penalty or not, I believe he still deserves to be on the
yeah.
podium because he drove incredibly well. You know, they have a fast car, and regardless, regardless, even if I'm not sure any anybody else feels different, to Alonso being on the podium. He's worked incredibly hard at least this last two races. So yeah, let him reap the fruit of his labor. But yeah, moving on. Um, now this okay, sorry. Daniela, please go ahead before we get into F5.
I was actually going to move on to what you were saying with this whole situation, how it's played out. So Alonso is driving, he has a penalty, and then they said, okay, you now they give him a penalty at the end of the race. Now it goes to George. I don't think they should have announced George has the podium until Aston Martin finished the appeal. Like it's confusing. Like he won the podium. He didn't win the podium. George has it. Now he has the podium. We don't know why is very confusing, and I don't think it's giving consistency at all. I don't think it's giving consistency. Um, from I understand they're like, oh, we want to penalize the same way, but then sometimes it's like, do you people not read your own rule book? Why? I just want to watch the race, oh, and then you come so that they will just explain to me in graphics. Martin Brandon, all these people, they are paying them money, they are chopping Sky Sports money. So that give them they can understand the rule and then they'll explain to us and then we'll be going. You people, race control, all of you people. Why? Why are we now going back and forth rule book? People are looking for regulations, Googling. Oh, anyway, admin, are you the mic?
Sorry, let me just answer that somewhat. I believe actually giving him the 10-second penalty initially shows consistency because if we are all assuming that he deserved that penalty during that safety car period, then you have fans out there saying, but Ocon got penalized for this. So the first thing to do is to give him that penalty. Then let them um, appeal that it was done under the safety car because they themselves, Aston Martin made that mistake to serve the penalty under the safety car. So it's something they did not remember. So they should appeal that it was done under the safety car and therefore does not count. Then the FIA would, revert to just adding 5 seconds to their time. I think that shows consistency. If they just came up and said, "Oh, we're removing that penalty because it was done under the safety car," then some people might say, it's not, or maybe it was done to favor him. I don't know, but I believe this is just more. This is just better for all of us to understand.
Okay. Okay. Um. Okay. Does anyone still want to add on this FIA since we're already on the topic, the FIA topic?
So George is going to have to run back and give the trophy back to Alonso.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I just found out that he gave Alonso back the P3 position. So he's now going to go back to collect the trophy from Russell. And it's just funny. I don't know why they are doing all this. I think I later saw a tweet about the fact that penalties are meant to be given within 25 minutes of the action. So they should have told Alonso that he had the 10-second penalty actually during the race, not after the race, as they did. So Alonso is getting his P3 back, and Russell ends up with P4. That's all I just wanted to say.
That's very funny because sorry, that's very funny because if you're saying that penalties should be if we are saying that penalties, or if it's in the rule book that penalties should be given 25 minutes after, then why do the FIA consistently say that they want to investigate an issue after the race? Does that now not go against the idea that penalties should be given 25 minutes within? So I think that also brings us back to the entire FIA consistency, in applying penalties or investigating issues. Like, what's going on there?
I think the issue is they're trying to be consistent, but sometimes they're not sure because I think what they said. I've just read something. It said that they've just confirmed that Alonso served his penalty rightly, and they didn't do any. They didn't give any explanation. So even though there was TV evidence to show that the jackman touched the car, but they didn't give any explanation. So they're still a bit confused. These FIA guys about what they're trying to be consistent, but I don't think they are sure at the moment about how about the regulations themselves. I think sometimes they get confused. So they're not giving any explanation at the moment.
I think this whole thing stemmed from when they removed Massey. Massey has been race director for a while now. Then when they removed him, they now brought these new guys. These new guys don't really understand the rule book, or they don't have enough um race directing experience with enough races under their belts to start making like concrete decisions like that. So I think it's just part of a learning curve for them. That's why they have these issues. But they've
But
been
Massey is not the
consistent.
one who makes. Sorry, sorry. Just I also like to point out that Massey is not the one who makes final
Yeah,
decisions on penalties. He just as the race director,
yeah.
he just points, some of the issues to what are they I've forgotten what they are called. um
Stewards. It's the
the
stewards that do
stewards,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, they rotate them. They are different ones, so they rotate. I think what's happened now is that you have some people who are staying consistently in 3 or 4 races and all of that. But Massey is not the one who makes final decisions on penalties. It's the stewards that do that. So, and these stewards that they are not new, right, to races, so they know the rule book. They know what to do. They've been handing out these penalties in the past. So I don't think that may be a valid case. Yeah.
But I think they're very slow to react, though. I think they have so many cameras and they have so many people looking at the cameras that give them that information. So I still think they're very slow in reacting. And I'm not sure what they're worried about. But maybe they're worried about offending somebody. I don't know. Because the evidence is right there. There are lots of cameras they look at to make a quick decision about what's happened. So I don't understand why they're taking so long to make a decision.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you, but I also think that it may also be the very political, for lack of a better word, the very political way that
Yeah,
Formula One is, in itself.
yeah.
How you have to be careful not to ruffle any feathers, forgetting that, you're here to serve everyone. And anyway, I mean, FIA doing FIA things, I'm not even too surprised.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I have a question. I don't even know who sent me to play devil's advocate because the devil never needs an advocate. But was so this them monitoring this 5 second penalty that was also while Stroll's incident was happening, right? So this was under the safety car. So maybe they were trying. It wasn't a crash or anything. Like they were all focused on trying to clear away. But maybe they were like, oh, the way Abs Martin abruptly told Stroll to stop the car. It was how is the team divided? Who is looking at what camera to pass? Like as was their because FIA always say safety first. Maybe they were like, oh, our first priority is to make sure that Stroll gets off right, and then let's go back to the race. And then somebody came back later and said, "Oh, race control, the penalty wasn't served right." Da, 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 da. So maybe they were like, maybe that's what they'll say. Our first priority as the FIA is always, or for the race control people is safety first. So at the point in time, um, and also like who are the people monitoring? Like I don't understand how a team can get it serving a penalty wrong because there's lights. So and that there's people there. So like, do the people there just watch the penalty? If the lights go green and they don't see it, do they not like after a few minutes review the incident themselves to see, oh, was this served correctly, rather than like into the end of the race for somebody else to bring it to their attention? I don't even all this one I've said. I'm even confusing myself.
I actually thought that. So in terms of stewards, they can't even have an excuse because there's more than one. I think there are about three per race
Yeah,
or
that's
four.
right.
Yeah, they don't have an excuse. But correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that they used to have their own people standing to ensure that the penalties were being served correctly, and then they are the
Yeah.
ones who tap the engineers and say, okay, and they like go ahead. So I'm very confused as
Yeah,
to how someone can serve a penalty wrong when your guy is standing there, or is it the
but,
case
but,
that
but
they are no longer there?
in this case, though, in this case, I think the jack, like I said, the man carrying the jack made a mistake and it lifted. So it's not that they didn't tell them that the 5 seconds is over. They got that right. It's just that when the car came in, if you watch the thing back again, you see the man at the back and the jackman go picking up the jack, and I think he must have accidentally touched the car. So I think
Oh,
that's what they got them for. I don't think they didn't observe the 5 seconds properly. I think they observed the 5 seconds properly. It's just that it was too late anyway because the guy had touched the car. I think he
okay.
accidentally did it. Yeah. So so if you watch it back again, you'll see the jack almost lifting up the car as soon as Alonso came in.
Okay, so it
So
means the penalty was valid then.
yeah, yeah, the penalty was valid. I don't think that's what they got him for. I think he was saying the 10 second. Yeah, it's what they applied afterwards, isn't it? That's what they're debating, that they didn't tell them early enough that they didn't do that right. And so they gave him a 10 second penalty, which, as far as they're concerned, is not valid.
Wonderful, wonderful. Anyways, okay. Can we have Papi?
Hi. Starting off with, first of all, I'm not sure what we are talking about right now, but starting off with this penalty thing, I think the issue with Alonso was why it was overturned. I think it's down to it's not being communicated on time. I think, I mean, the FIA made their decision. The appeal came. I mean, when you get to appeal, you get to explain certain things, give certain data. I mean, they must have been able to explain that they could have gotten 5 more seconds in if they were told on time, or basically, like, to just show that it was basically unfair on their part, and that like Russell didn't exactly have any chance of meeting up or something. So I think they appealed well, and the FIA have to, since it's not like another team was fighting for it. So yeah, there's that. But all in all, I think it was a good race day, and I also hope uh, people stop disrespecting Russell. By people, I'm speaking to a certain group of people. They know themselves. I just hope they stop disrespecting Russell, because the things I heard about that boy last season from certain people that's supposed to even be supporting him was just something else. And the boy is a star. He's not here to be second fiddle to anybody. Basically, he's not Bottas. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that for now.
But you're disrespecting Bottas to talk about Russell. Doesn't
No,
make
I'm not.
sense.
I'm not disrespecting. I'm not disrespecting Bottas. Some drivers are just not on that level. Some drivers are made to be second fiddle, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Another
But
disrespect.
no, that's not disrespect. That's facts now. Uh,
Can you call people's name, like drop names? Because you kept saying like, certain people. I need you to drop names for people that are
I
disrespecting
don't
Russell.
need.
Drop
I don't need to
names. So
drop
are you
names.
afraid of people?
This is my first time in this space this season. Let me just respect myself.
Okay, we'll welcome you gently, but that was disrespect to Bottas, brother. And me,
No, I
I'm
don't
not happy.
see. Here's the thing. I don't think he's a bad driver. I think like the kind of team he is in now is perfect for him. I think he's like he can be the main driver in that in like mid level teams, but he can't be the top driver for Ferrari, Red Bull, or Merc. Like it's facts.
Should I tell you
Mer-
something?
go ahead. I'm listening.
You know when he made that move from Williams
Yeah,
to Mercedes, yeah?
yeah.
It was on pure merit. Like I wasn't proper, but I've seen highlights, I've seen Bottas, I've seen races. There were men on the grid, there were people on the grid. So when he made that move from Williams to Mercedes, he merited it 100%. He was only up against a guy who was at the peak of his powers. And
Can I
if
can
this,
I can I ask you a question? Can
go
I
ahead,
ask you a
brother.
question? Um, you seem to misunderstand me, because I have not at any point said he did not get his seat on merit, but there are certain drivers that, okay, would you say Checo did not get his seat on merit at that age? What I'm trying to say is there were other drivers Red Bull could have chosen. The But like they decided to pick someone that can get close to Max, but we all know Checo will never surpass Max at this stage of his career.
What I'm saying is, yeah, when Bottas moved to Mercedes, I don't know the circumstances of things. Obviously,
Okay,
somebody like Rosberg, who was close to or at par with Hamilton, was leaving.
yeah,
So I don't know the kind of person they were getting. I can't tell you what was happening at that time because I don't know. But Bottas was a young. Bottas is what 33 now, so he was
Mm-hmm.
literally at the peak of his powers as well. So this is a guy who is he's hungry. Let me use the words of Red Bull. He's hungry. So it's not. Anyways, I can't say too much. But I'm just saying it felt a bit disrespectful
I
considering.
swear, I'm not disrespecting.
Oh yes.
Maybe it did feel like that, and if it came off like that, maybe I used the wrong set of words. But I'm just saying that it was a driver that was fine with being number two.
You
Okay.
think so?
Okay, I think we can, so that we can move forward and wrap up. I think that we can give props to both drivers without disrespecting the other. They are both good. They are both good drivers.
I
You know.
mean, can I just add to that? I mean, I'm not quite sure about the point about George because Lewis will always says, "I don't want a driver that I don't want to be number one."
Lewis again.
No, no, wait. Just let me land. Let me land. What I'm trying to say is, Lewis doesn't. He says, "I don't want to be number one. I don't want to be number one driver." Right. So he wants a driver that will challenge him anyway.
But
So
he has
of course,
always been number one driver.
no, he's not number one driver. He's never been declared number one driver.
He doesn't have to be the clear number. Like we
No, no,
watch, we
no.
can
It's not.
see.
The
Nobody
reason
needs to
why,
say
no,
it.
the way Mercedes works is that if further down the season is doing much better than the second driver, they will give him as much chance as possible for him to win that championship.
Okay,
But when they
in
start
those
off,
7 years, did Bottas at any point perform significantly
that's
better than
because
he
he was
was?
better than Bottas. He showed he was better than Bottas. That's all.
Exactly.
You have to give Lewis props for that. But that doesn't mean he's number one.
Exactly.
No, no, sorry. That doesn't mean he's number one driver. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just want to chip this in. Bottas basically had to like renew his contract virtually every year. So he didn't have this peace of mind that he was going to like settle down with the team since he had to like renew contracts almost every year. So that couldn't have given him like space to like really grow and prove his real talent, I feel. That's just my opinion on all this.
You can actually argue that that should be motivation for you to do better because you don't know,
Exactly.
like that I think that the argument can go both ways. You can argue that that is motivation. I mean, because
Yeah.
that means that it's based on your performance, right? So you should be, motivated to do better so that they can renew your contract. I don't even think that that Wutas can
I
Yeah.
mean,
accept as a valid argument.
if the team thinks you are that good, I think a multi-year contract is the surest thing. I don't think. Well, let me just leave it at that
But
because
Lewis is waiting for a contract to be signed right now. Of course, they think it's
after
good.
look, and
Yeah.
this is his choice. This is his choice.
Yeah, yeah, but I
Mercedes.
don't think that when it comes to contract, that what you're saying, I'm not sure works because people have for different reasons don't sign a contract for different reasons. We don't know the full story, do we? So I think it's not just a matter of if they think you're that good. For them to be negotiating with you, obviously they think you're good for them to be negotiating with you in the first place. So there are other factors that come into play when it comes to contract
Okay.
negotiation.
Okay.
I think
I just
the
think
which was the
Russell.
basis of
Nobody's gonna offer Russell a 1 year contract though.
I think the basis of this conversation was, the idea that some people looks down
Yeah,
on Russell, and I don't think anyone. I mean, I don't know, but I haven't heard anyone here say that Russell is not,
yeah.
a good driver. But I guess we can leave it at that. We can agree to disagree.
I mean, I feel Russell is good though, because we has been taking that Williams car throughout all these seasons. Yeah. And now
And
getting into the Mercedes, like he has been like basically living for this moment right now, and he just has to prove himself. And I think that's what he's doing, and he's doing it well. Look at last season; it was consistent, top five, even though the car was it was bad. I'm not going to say kind of bad. It was bad, and it was quite consistent until I think Silverstone. And this year, he's been quite good too. So Russell is a good driver. I think Lewis is just he's aging. Honestly, I think he's aging. I think that I don't want to go there, sure, but I think it's
I
aging.
mean, the only thing I'll say to that is because young drivers. I mean, Russell is good, and I agree. Russell is very good, and I like him. But these young drivers always start very good when they're very ambitious. So Carlos Sainz, when Carlos Sainz started, he was really good. He was good at Red Bull Junior, and he was coming up. But slowly he came up, left Red Bull, went to McLaren. He did well, but he didn't do blindingly. And now he's at Ferrari. It's not really surpassing what I thought he would. So when they start young, they're always very good and they're ready to challenge anybody. But when, when it comes down to it and longevity, that's what we should be looking at and see what they can do as the future comes.
I just think that Russell has more to prove. That's all, and there's no
Yeah,
harm in him trying to prove himself. So it's as simple as that,
yeah.
right? I mean, we are every driver is here to win, to one up their teammates and to win, potentially win races and win championships. So there's nothing. I don't think that anyone has said that Russell is not a good enough driver. I think we all
It's
agree.
very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I heard people on this space last season say stuff like Russell is only or Hamilton is testing the car, is testing upgrades. That's why Russell is this. Russell cannot compete with Hamilton. Russ on pure pace. Like I heard that a lot last season, and I did say like, look, I'm not. I will never take anything away from Lewis. He's the greatest in my opinion, but in F1 evolves
Hmm.
like so fast. And like these young boys nowadays, you have 18, 19, 20, 21 year olds that want to get in the car, and so like they're not going to sit back and relax, especially in a competitive car.
Hmm.
Well, I think we're all on the same page, more or
Yeah,
less. Like
I
Russell is a
think
good
so.
driver, Hamilton is the greatest of all time. We all agree. So we're on the same page.
Well,
Sorry, guys. Can I ask a question? I just came in a little bit late. Sorry. And I think after the race, I went off. I had to go to work, but I just came back and I'm seeing on Twitter that Alonso's third place has been reinstated. Please, what happened? Why was it reinstated?
Life happened.
I don't get. If they can reinstate that, so why didn't they go and overturn AD 21
No, no,
over how
no.
many
Come
years?
on, come on, come on, come. Let
You know, I
Please,
was
let's not
allow,
about
do
to
that
say
tonight,
allow
something
I
it,
beg.
when I
allow
Let's
said
it,
not play
allow it.
Lewis
now.
was aging, but we don't
Rapper,
go there again. Yeah,
admin,
it's
my, my,
allow it.
I
Allow it.
leave it.
my
Allow it.
man,
But
I love that question. I love
Yes,
that question.
let us
My
and
man.
Bro, leave
allow
it.
it.
Leave it. No,
Allow
we
it.
don't have strength for
Please,
that this night.
please,
I beg.
please.
I beg.
because
You
it's
people should not go and open healing scars.
I'm not healed and I can't heal, to be honest.
I
Uh-huh.
can hear.
This, you
Bro,
see, that's
I
why I
wanted
say
to
heal
cry,
it,
guys.
heal
I
it.
wanted to cry.
I can't heal because it's criminal.
My brother, you have to heal it. If
My,
you don't
my,
heal,
You have to
it's
move
my
on
man.
with
fine.
this.
I like questions like this. Can you ask it again? I didn't hear you.
I said, why was Alonso's third place reinstated and AD 21 after how many years it's still not reinstated? It's not like it's up to 5 years
But
yet.
Who
but
has who has the FIA's email? Can you give it to
exactly,
him?
no,
Like you
but
can email the FIA
exactly,
and ask
Bro, they'll
them.
just
We don't
end
have answers
you.
for you.
exactly.
My man, I'm on the same page as you, Jerry. Don't worry.
Bro, if you go to F1, if you go to their Instagram page, they are firing them like you guys
Yeah,
are so
but
incompetent, blah
yeah,
blah
but
blah.
I think with what someone said about Hamilton and Russell, I think at the moment Hamilton is not even trying as hard as he should because he
Thank
knows
you.
that the car is not giving what it should. So why should I even try that much? Because trust me, I think even on the medium tires he had today, if he decided to push that car, he would have caught up to Russell. But at some point, it's like it's not really worth it. What am I even driving for? Let me just drive normally. But there's nothing to him now. There's nothing to actually prove because the car is not underneath him to prove anything.
My
Yeah.
brother, you know this thing you're saying now, eh? What you're trying to tell us now is that Lewis Hamilton is ready to retire.
I'm telling you
No,
honestly. I,
I
I
no,
beg to I beg to
no,
differ.
no, no,
I
no,
I
no,
Because
think
no.
once a racing
it's not
driver
like
says,
it's
"Why
not
am
like he
I
No.
wants
even
to retire.
pushing?"
But the
means
thing
you
is,
want to
let,
go and
let me give you let
rest.
me, let me give you an example. It's just like when you're driving a car for the first time, and maybe you have a car you've driven for like 2-3 years, and you're used to that car. and you now start driving a car newly, you're not really confident in that car because the car you used to drive before, you could do some things with it without even thinking or blinking. But now, this car, you're not too sure about what you should do. Now, on the part of Russell, like someone was saying, these young drivers, they are very ambitious. They will take the car to
Exactly.
to its limits, to its breaking point. And that's why sometimes you see when Max Verstappen was coming up, he used to make a lot of mistakes because he was pushing the car to the limit, not knowing where to stop. But
What
I
I'm
think,
saying to you is if a racing driver sees an opportunity to come forth and says, no, I want to settle for fifth, they do not want to race
No, I,
anymore.
I, I, no,
No,
I
no,
think, I
no.
think, no, I think we need to make something distinct. Sorry, I think we need to make something distinct, right? Lewis Hamilton, right? Um, not just saying let me just drive this car, or saying I've given up on the car, is different from Lewis Hamilton saying I'm doing everything I can to make this car work. It's not just working.
Exactly.
So what Lewis is doing is Lewis is trying his best, right, to work within this car, and he just can't seem to find the right window to make the car
Yeah.
yeah,
work. That's a
Uh,
different conversation from you saying that Lewis is just he has given. No, that's
yeah,
not
but
what
yeah.
it
but
is.
but when you do that kind of thing and it's not working, you get frustrated and you just like, you know what?
Yeah,
No,
but
but it's
but
not. It's not ready. It's
it's
not.
clear
It's not.
from his driving ability right now, or
Russell
what he did
was
today.
just Russell was faster, too fast, too. In fact,
Four
Russell was in a
seconds
different
faster
space today.
thereabouts.
Was what? Did you say 12 seconds?
Four.
4 seconds?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think.
that's what they ended up with. That doesn't mean it's 4 seconds faster.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
just what they.
Yeah.
I'm just
It's
saying
just
though.
what they ended. What Louis said. My setup. He realized his setup was no good. He
Yeah.
said it. So there was no need to chase after Russell. That was
Mhm.
just the way. Well, Louis
Also, if
always.
you look at the data, sorry, if you
Yeah.
look at the data, Lewis kept the same
Race
delta.
pace. Yes.
This exactly
Exactly.
throughout. So
Yeah.
it will tell you straight up that he was just managing his tires to make
Yeah.
sure that he
Exactly.
gets to the end of
Exactly.
the race. So that's what it was.
But that doesn't mean I agree. I disagree with the fact that he's ready to retire. He's
No,
not.
he's
He's
not.
not going anywhere.
He's
I
not
didn't
ready to
say he's
retire.
ready to retire. I'm saying based on what was said that if he
Yeah.
has an opportunity to go for a fourth position and decide to say, I know they go, I'm not going, I'll relax for fifth, it means I don't tire. I no want to.
Yeah. Oh, okay, 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 okay.
No,
But it's
no,
just
no.
that Louis just doesn't like wasting energy. He
Yeah.
hates wasting
Yeah, are you
energy.
Lewis's myosin and are you his muscle fibers? Now you be myosin. See this guy.
Yes. Now I've been following him since he was a little boy. I've been following
My
Louis.
brother, relax.
Doctor.
Now he be a muscle fibers. He say he doesn't like wasting
Please,
his muscle.
please hold on. A bit of a breaking news. According to Amos, a a rival team has inquired about the jack touching on Alonso's car while serving the 5 second
Yeah.
penalty.
Yeah, because that was.
Yes, that's what I was saying. Anyway, yeah.
So,
Who did he give the penalty to in the first race?
so
Someone had the penalty
yeah, the
for
rival
touching the car
team.
too.
Maybe you guys know the rival team, but I feel that rival team. That's not what you guys should be chasing right now. You're
No go
supposed to aim
pass
for at
Mercedes
least
Ah,
now.
maybe
Now
your
Mercedes.
No,
customer.
you know what? I don't support
This is
Alonso,
not
but
you.
in this case, I think he deserves the third place. So
But
whatever.
wait. If you say he deserves the third place, then all the penalties that Ocon got last race should be erased.
No, 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 no. But I think it's. But for me, I think this is FIA's issue, not
Yeah.
Alonso's issue.
Admin,
yes. So the
admin.
conversation is that um Aston Martin showed, I think they said, 7 different videos, 7 different instances of like maybe an equipment being on the car but not doing any actual work.
Yeah.
And so the FIA considered all of that and said, okay, yeah, though the jack was, touched the car, but they were not working on the car, so they took back the penalty,
Okay.
after seeing 7 different videos. Now, so I
Out of
think that whatever rival team is contesting that is probably rightfully so, because the conversation is now, does touching the car, a jack touching the
Exactly.
car, constitute
Yeah.
working on the car or not? So that's the basis, the bone of contention right now.
Yeah. Who is the rival team? Is it Mercedes that is the rival team?
Admin will tell us so.
Well, we cannot confirm that at the moment. But anything that is chasing something, you should know the team now. So
So that means that the 10-second time penalty was overturned. It didn't happen. What exactly has gone on? Let me understand something.
So there's no 10-second penalty for him anymore. They are saying that he served his penalty correctly. That's what they're
So he
saying.
Yeah,
served the 5-second time
Yeah,
penalty, right?
yeah,
yeah.
But somebody touched his car when he was in that pit.
yes,
So
yes. There's a
But
jack.
the
A
jack
jack.
touched his car, but it
That's
doesn't
right.
amount
Yeah,
to
but
what.
the jack doesn't just touch the car. It's operated by somebody. So somebody lifted the jack to touch the car.
Shebi, now you guys are seeing what is going on. Now, normally, yeah, this is not even supposed. Okay, I know that when you overtake somebody wrongly on the track, yeah, they will not tell you. They'll now you go use your head, give the thing back unless they'll give you the time penalty.
Yeah.
Now they've gone into that place and somebody touched the car. Why are they waiting to be told that you have a 10-second time penalty when they have seen that somebody
Or they
touched the
have
car?
to be told. You can't go and serve a penalty if you're not told that you've got a penalty now.
exactly.
How can you go and serve a penalty when you,
You,
that would be a
why
stupid
you
that would be a
it's like
stupid
scoring
thing.
own goal? Why you like are you
So
for
so
yourself or
now
against
now that
yourself?
somebody used the jack to touch the car, is not that means they did not work on the car.
No, it didn't work on the car. But the fact
Admin,
that
give us
something touched the
FIA's
car,
email, please.
yeah.
Admin, please can you clarify this issue because I don't understand how they can give somebody third position and then take away the third position because now every point in the constructors championship matters.
No, so what they're saying is that right when Alonso went to serve his penalty, right?
Uh,
That someone picked up a jack, right, but did not use someone picked up the jack and they said, but the person did not actually do any work on the car. The jack touched the car prior to the
yeah.
5 seconds elapsing, right? So they are saying because the jack touched the car, the penalty wasn't served correctly. That's why they gave the initial 10 seconds penalty.
But
But what?
I actually think the jack lifted the car up, but nothing happened after that.
Yeah. So, but what the FIA is saying now is that Aston Martin came to them right with video evidence of 7 different instances where cars were touched by the jack while serving a similar penalty, right, and that without being penalized.
Otilo
Okay.
is gone.
Exactly. So because of that,
Yeah.
the conversation was now that does the jack touching the car constitute walking on the car? And because they've
Mm.
showed them 7 different videos and instances, it now shows precedent that you did not give a
No, but
previous penalty for something like that.
from
So the
from what I
FIA has overturned. Sorry.
but from what I saw though, that jack lifted up the car. Even though the other 7 instances might be somebody touching the car. In Aston Martin's case, the jack went into the back of the car, lifted it up before they could do. So that's where I think the difference is.
Okay, so let me read something for you. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'll just quickly go into having reviewed the video evidence presented and having heard from the team representative of Aston Martin and the relevant members from the FIA, the stewards determined that there did exist significant and relevant new evidence as required under Article 14.1 to trigger
Mm.
a review of the decision, in particularly the video evidence and the verbal evidence from the team and from the FIA. It's clear to us that substratum of the original decision, namely the representation of there being an agreement, was called into question. We proceeded to hear the substance of the new request for review, and having reviewed the new evidence, we have concluded that there was no clear agreement, as was suggested to the stewards previously, that could be relied upon to determine that
Okay.
parties had agreed that a jack touching a car would amount to walking on the car. In the circumstances, we consider that our original decision to impose a penalty needed to be reversed, and we did so accordingly. So
So
it's the same thing where there's a loophole.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. We've not
Yeah.
agreed
So
what
they're
walking
not.
on a
Yeah.
car is. That's what they're saying.
So they're not saying there's no evidence. They're saying there's no clear evidence. That's
Yeah,
what they're
yeah,
saying. Yeah.
yeah, and there's precedence that a jack touching a car from
Yeah.
different that a jack touching a car does not constitute walking. So because of that precedence,
Yeah.
you can. So I figure what will happen is going forward, they will just say that if any equipment whatsoever touches a car, right, we
Yeah.
consider it working on the car, and then the next person will serve a penalty. That's
Yeah.
probably what it is. I feel like they make up these things as they go. But okay.
They're gonna clarify the law. Yeah.
Okay, okay, we're rounding up, guys. Because of time, we'll have Ore, and we'll round up, please. Thank you.
Okay, real quick, I just want to touch on the Alonso's penalty topic. First of all, we don't know the 7 videos that Aston Martin showed FIA, but the problem now that what is clear is that to the stewards, what is definition of walking on the car during a 5 second stop and go penalty? That is where it is clear. And Aston Martin, they've already showed like 7 different instances where you don't even know what you are defining. Like if you're saying touching is walking, then you were clearly not working on this thing. But anyways, the FIA they've already said that there's going to be a meeting next week where this rule about walking on the car or touching the car will be clarified. So it's all just I thought maybe it was restated because they had like that 25 minutes to announce punishment after it's been done. But apparently it was because they don't have a clear definition for what is touching and walking on the car. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say real quick.
Thank you very much, Ore. Okay, quickly, does anyone want to add anything? Not anything instigating, not anything fiery, not anything with foil.
Lewis and Charles should swap teams.
Hey!
Okay, okay, I believe that would be conversation for the Australian GP.
No, no, no.
But yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining us this evening, happy day, wherever you are though. We'll be back again for the Australian Grand Prix, as usual, and hopefully anyway, the Australian Grand Prix is in 2 weeks, so there's no Grand Prix next weekend, which is sad. But yeah, very soon we'll jump on the European leg, and then there'll be a Grand Prix almost every week, so that should be fine. But yeah, I believe the next Grand Prix is Australian time, so it's gonna be a bit different. So some of us might miss FP1, FP2, FP3. So please watch and come prepared before you come and cook, so that you will not cook your cooking will not be half baked. You understand? But yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you very much. Have a good evening and a great week ahead. God bless you.
Thank you. Agree.